Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, for the PUBG Continental Series for APAC. It is PCS2. My name is Enox. Joining me, of course, is the lovely Alfish guy. And looks like we found the sound button as well, Jordan. So everything's A-OK. We can get into game very shortly here as we kickstart the second Continental Series for APAC.
It's unbelievable, Xenox. I don't know why you did that to everyone. That was a really, really awful thing to do. Everyone was just here having a good time, listening to music, and you decided you wanted to turn it off for some reason. So, look, I'm looking forward to getting stuck into PCS2, as I'm sure you are as well. And, I don't think we're too far away from the games, Xenox. So, we better jump straight into all of the discussions surrounding this season. Everyone that's been involved in PUBG and been watching PUBG this year should probably have a pretty good understanding of what we're going to be getting from PCS2. Very, very similar to PCS1. A few minor changes, a couple of teams coming in, a couple of teams coming out, but by and large, it's the same format. 4 games a day at this time instead of 5 games a day, and the season does last a little bit longer, but it's more or less the same concept.
6 regions this time as well, since Malaysia has entered the fray through Battle Arena Elites. Also, most notably on the calendar, it is now over the course of 3 weeks. Will still, though, be, of course, the same amount of games played, 24, as it was for PCS1. But Jordan, obviously, quick maths, that means we're only going to be having 4 games per night. So that'll be 2 games of Miramar and 2 games of Erangel. Of course, the prize pool, 2 million. I almost gave us a little bit more there. 12.5%, though, of course, of the in-game sales will contribute to the prize pool.
Yeah, and that's always good to see. We saw that obviously for the last couple of seasons as well. So a bit of extra cash in the back pocket of the players. Definitely something that goes a long way, particularly in regions like ours, Xenox, where the infrastructure isn't maybe as strong as it is for the likes of North America and for Europe, where the teams may be salaried or they may have a little bit more money sort of flying in towards their direction. So for teams, like from the ANZ region, it definitely helps quite a lot.
Without a doubt, here is, of course, the map information, sort of just reconfirming visually, as I mentioned before, 2 games of Miramar, followed then by 2 games of Erangel for this weekend, and then next weekend it kind of flips, and then, of course, then on the final weekend flips back. And, of course, the same point system as always, and across all the other regions as well, Jordan. No surprise there for those who, of course, have been following along with the PCS format throughout 2020 so far, which is hopefully many of you. If you are new, though, to watching PUBG Esports, get ready. It's going to be exciting. 24 games, Jordan, of course. It's not a lot, but it's just that right amount, right in the middle, where you will be getting a well and truly deserved winner.
Yeah, a little bit more than last season as well. If I remember correctly, we only had the 20 games, so that's a bit of an added bonus as well, Xenox. But what I do like at least about this season in comparison to previous season is we're no longer going to have that weird conversation about, X or Y team might be a little bit better on Miramar, and we have to wait until next week to see them play 3 maps of Miramar per day to catch up. It's going to be 50-50 split from day 1, so we'll get a good understanding of who is sitting where. In the long term, either way, Xenox, we're jumping into Game 1, and today we're kicking things off for PCS2 APAC on Miramar.
It's an odd one to be kickstarting things off on Miramar. I'm certainly not used to it. Usually, of course, we start on the traditional Erangel. That's not going to be the case here tonight. So Miramar we go. As we start us off for PCS2 APAC, a relatively normal circle as well, just above Los Leones, La Bendita, inside of that as well. You can see, of course, the plane path having a very large impact on where these players have landed so far. More on the western side of the map, not a whole lot out east, especially up to the northeast, for instance, around La Bendita, Al Azhar, for instance. Archangel Predator have returned, and of course throughout tonight, I think definitely for night 1, Jordan, it will be sort of like a catch-up with a lot of these teams and where they've been, and did they play PCS1? Was it Charity Showdown was the last time, or potentially is it their first PCS like this team in particular, X Stadium?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that, there's quite a few teams that we haven't actually seen before in PCS. In fact, we've got 8 teams that didn't play in PCS1 at all, 6 teams that have never played in PCS, and 8 teams returning from PCS1. So there's quite a few sort of teams that are coming through that we might recognize from things like Charity Showdown and from the previous season, but there's a lot of entirely new teams here as well. One thing that I did want to mention, obviously we haven't had much of a chance for a pre-show here, but I thought it was quite interesting. I was taking a look back at the results from obviously Season 1 and Charity Showdown, and what I noticed was the teams that played in both Charity Showdown and PCS1 by and large, almost everyone, except for Divine Esports, was able to improve on their result. And so I'm looking for those kinds of teams that have been in PCS since Charity Showdown to continue to improve their result, particularly now Xenox, because teams like Q Confirm are not here. They came first in Season 1. Golden Cat is also not here. They came third. Yeah. So there's a lot of points on the board available up towards the top end of the standings that may go over to someone like, for example, Fury, who finished 4th last season. They'll be looking for a strong finish. Buriram, 2nd place from last season. 3rd place from Charity Showdown. So to be honest, coming into this, a team like Buriram is definitely licking their lips.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. Typically, the theme, especially going into these PCS seasons, has always been about the winners defending their crown, and that hasn't been the case in APAC at all throughout 2020. In saying that, though, Division X Gaming have returned. They finished first in the PCS Charity Showdown. They missed out on PCS1 altogether. Now they've returned for PCS2 from Vietnam, so they're a team to keep an eye on as well to see whether or not maybe they can regain their crown, for instance, rather than, of course, having to defend it, which... well, they technically weren't able to do since they finished 11th in the Vietnam series for PCS1. But it's now, of course, at this point of the year where you've got such a good mixture of teams coming in for their first time, their second, or some that, as you've said, have now participated in all 3 PCS tournaments. So 15 seconds away from the blue moving on as we kickstart game number 1. What do you want to see, Jordan, though, really, sort of just from tonight as a beginning? Is it certain teams, the likes of Buriram, Cerberus, Division X, these top teams, MSC Theraton as well, getting off to a good start?
To be honest, I'd like to see some of the teams that we actually haven't seen too much from getting off to that good start, because that's going to give us a better indication as to maybe what we're expecting to see from them over the course of the next few weeks, how they play, how they rotate, what they like to do. Just gives them a little bit more of that time in the limelight. When it comes to teams like, you know, Fury, Astra, Cerberus, Divine, all these teams that have been here since Charity Showdown, we kind of already know what we're going to get, or at least we have an expectation of what we're going to get. So I kind of want to see a little bit more from the likes of From the Future, Bay, and these kinds of teams that haven't actually played in PCS before. So I'd like to see them having a deeper run here in the first couple of rounds of Miramar. I know it's maybe a little bit biased to sort of throw a name out there, but I'm specifically looking at Bay, to be honest, as one of the teams that I'm quite interested in, because obviously they didn't qualify through last season. Looking to see them come in here. This will be their first season in PCS, and hopefully they're going to have a good performance.
And Bay is one of those sort of odd teams that, in my eyes, is kind of representing 2 regions. Of course, they've got 2 Australian players, Nefahor and Flood, along with the 2 Malaysian players as well. So you've got this really weird predicament where, of course, for those who are unaware, of course, the Oceania qualifiers went from 3 to 2 slots, but of course with Battle Arena Elites moving from OCE over to Malaysia, they come in anyway. So in one way, you can look at it as still potentially having 3 OCE teams. Guys, Juna, they're in for their first trip into PCS. They did get shot out by Poochills of Day Trade Gaming, one of the more regular combatants here for PUBG Continental Series APAC throughout 2020 has been Day Trade Gaming. Looking at the circle, though, that we can see, Los Leones, currently, of course, no teams are going to want to go inside of that. So it's all about the region around the city of Los Leones. There are a lot of really highly elevated mountain ranges. You can actually see Archangel Predator, the Philippines team, in a really good position up to the north. I think Fury are also in a good spot too, just towards the southeast of Los Leones, and Buriram aren't that far away either from having a relatively centralized position that has some exit abilities as well, provided, of course, if the circle goes north, then they can go along the eastern coast and it's going to be pretty quiet. There's only 1 team over there.
I think we're probably just in the eye of the storm, which I guess is not necessarily a correct statement, because normally there would be a bit of chaos before the eye of the storm and then we slow things down. But I think you get my meaning here, Xenox. Things are probably going to be a little bit slow in these first couple of rounds of Miramar, when, you know, this is something we always talk about at the start of every PCS season, when we get a bit of an idea early on in the piece how the meta is going to shape up, how the teams are going to sort of start to rotate around. It tends to be a case where teams are maybe a little bit more passive early on in the piece until they figure everything out. And then once they're a little bit more comfortable, we'll start to see more of those early game aggressions. For now, keeping our eyes on Fury Australia, the team obviously from Down Under, that is going to be quite split up at the moment. They're covering a lot of territory, Xenox, so they're really looking to control quite a large number of quadrants, I suppose, in the southern part of the map. And they are a team that is going to be looking for some points out of Miramar. From PCS1, they were performing a lot better on Miramar than they did on Erangel at the end of the season. They had 66% of their points actually coming from Miramar. So that's quite a significant portion of your points. And obviously for them, it's, I guess, nice to start off on Miramar. You know, start on your comfort territory and, you know, sort of work your way into the season without too many struggles.
Just going back to sort of one of the earlier points you brought up in terms of slow start, which this is very much a slow start right now, but the other factor of that is we only play 4 games per night now. So it's not like you've got 5 or 6 games, which, you know, various other tournaments will have in PUBG, where of course you can then kind of use that first or even second game for that matter to sort of warm up. In this case, there is no warming up. Doidmate's picture is just, well, that's always going to give you nightmares if you stare at that one. If that stares back at you in the middle of the night, then definitely duck under the covers. But slow start, but not a surprise. Especially as I mentioned, 4 games. You can't use any of these games as your warm-up matches. You've got to start from the get-go. Miramar United Esports, certainly one of my favorites, and for the contending here for PCS2 APAC. Can they put it all together, though? They haven't been able to do so in the past PCS series, as that is going to be a southern shift towards Los Leones. Great for day trade gaming, Fury, Kaiser as well. Divine Esports can sort of wrap around too. As we focus on Ghoul here from Cerberus Esports, this is a pretty big battle actually between 2 very top-ended teams.
Yeah.
Cerberus are another team that's definitely going to be contending for top spot. If you recall in PCS1, they were contending all the way to the end. Unfortunately, Hisaki had to miss a couple of games in the last weekend, maybe even the last 2 weekends, unfortunately due to personal reasons, and really that was the biggest benefactor for them not being able to challenge towards the end.
Yeah, it was certainly a sore point, but Cerberus obviously have managed to get back here into PCS2, and they'll have a good shot once again of trying to put their name up in lights. Buriram not too interested in this engagement at all, and I'd say that's probably a wise decision given that they know their location on the circle. They know that they're going to have to move south. Los Leones is taking up a large portion of the northern part of the circle here, Xenox. So as you can see on the minimap, on the map stream as well, there's a lot of teams that are starting to rotate their way down, and they're kind of banking on this circle shifting south in the next phase, which is definitely not a bad decision at all. Quite likely to move away from Los Leones. What that's going to do, though, Xenox, is we're going to be seeing quite a congestion of teams as they all start to rotate through. Buriram is kind of leading the pack at the moment, but there's probably 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 teams around them coming out of Los Leones, coming down from the northern part of the map, past Impala. And for the moment, you know, there's not that much of an engagement, but I think sooner or later we're going to get something pretty chaotic.
Well, this is sort of the opposite effect, unfortunately, for Miramar United. If that circle had gone north, all of those teams rotating down this eastern highway would have stayed in that northern position. Miramar would have then been able to come up the eastern highway up north safely because there wasn't really any teams below them. But because we get this southern shift, those teams up north, of course, are going to come down. They're going to be coming down in a similar direction to Miramar. Although, in saying that, they can now, of course, find some kills. And typically, if you're going to find kills and get a win, you can already put yourself at a huge advantage going into the rest of the night. So a big opportunity for a team like Miramar and just really any of those teams around that area. You got Astra, you got MSC Terraton as well. A lot of teams with some firepower here. Lynxy landing a few shots onto MSC. They'll be able to get away though in the pickup truck. We've now gone 11.5 minutes though. I'm just going to add, we still haven't even found a knockdown, Jordan, let alone a kill. But we should find it here.
Potentially, that grenade might actually do it. Basil, it's gone a little bit too deep. Actually lands next to the truck. MSC will be fine for now. Big spray onto Nordra, who's flipped his vehicle. He'll be in trouble. Subang, definitely someone that you don't want to let get these second chances. Grenade goes flying through, but that's going to go a little awry. Nordra's fine for now. Takes the aggressive challenge, but Buriram really need to help him out if he's going to get out of here, because he's one of their best players. If you remember last season, Xenox, the clutches that he pulled off for the team, and he's already down. That's the end of him. Subang picks it up. Cerberus get the first point on the board for PCS2 APAC.
Is this sort of the storyline that we're going to get here for PCS2? Cerberus Esports are coming in as one of the favorites. A heavy one too. And if they can play at their absolute best, led by their star man in Hisaki, there's no reason why they can't pick up the win. As we continue to head over to Los Leones, Jordan, this is going to continue to increase this congestion of teams. So much so that at this point now, there are going to have to be a few teams that actually go into Los Leones, whether they like it or not, considering it's on the very northern tip of this circle and it's not really centralized. Phase 4 should theoretically move away from the city as well. So I don't know. The team up north, GH, Game Home, are probably going to have to go into the city. Bay are severely outside to the west. I'm not sure really what their plan is either, because the way they're rotating is not into the city, but sort of rotating into Divine. So expect potentially Battle Arena Elites to get into a fight sooner rather than later.
I want to go back and touch on one of the comments you made a little bit earlier, Xenox, about starting the season well. And I don't think I necessarily need to remind you, but maybe for some of the viewers who didn't watch PCS1 for the APAC region, it was Q Confirmed that started off with 2 wins, an 8-kill win and a 13-kill win. And that kind of set their season up, really. It felt like they were just leading from the front and everyone else was trying to play catch-up. And for Q Confirmed, after week 1, the objective wasn't even necessarily to win games anymore or to get big games on the board. It was just to have decent games. And if a team like Cerberus, for example, the one that's only got themselves a point on the board, can actually start off similar to that tonight, then I think we could actually start to see someone else running away. Obviously, Q Confirm is not in the picture at the moment anymore, so it's an opportunity for other teams to do just the same as what Q Confirm was able to do. Having lost Basil, though, might not be the ideal start for Cerberus, even if they have got themselves 1 point on the board. Basil quite low here. I'm not sure that he's going to be getting picked back on up. See where he is. Yeah, he's definitely out of that one. So unfortunate for Cerberus. After a decent start, they do now lose a player.
Good start, though, for X Stadium, coming in from the Vietnam series. The only player who actually from their roster played in PCS1 was Noctan. He played on Maogi Esports, in fact. So they have at least a bit of experience there in terms of PCS on their roster. Not sure how much he's going to be able to really aid them as a solo player, but obviously they're here for a reason based on their performance in the Vietnam series. Biram still just holding close by. Edie, God Meow, and Canaxi, of course, without Nordra now. This quiet start continues, and Game Home did in fact head into Los Leones. They weren't the only ones. MSC Theraton, along with Archangel Predator, and technically Daytrade as well, although they're on the edge more so than anything here for Los Leones. This should very well go south, but we've only had 2 deaths, Jordan. 15 and a half minutes gone, heading into phase 4 now, as it does go to the south end of the previous circle. You can see how many teams are not inside of this circle. I would just about not be surprised if any of them can actually make it into this kind of phase 4 circle. This is going to heat up so much slow that we're just simply not going to be able to catch everything because of how slow the opening start was.
Indeed, and that's how it always is when you start off a new season here in PCS. It's always a couple of slow games from the outset, and, well, as a result of that, sooner or later, you are going to get that chaos, and that's probably what we will get out of this rotation. Game Home, MSC Theraton, Archangel Predator, all coming in from Los Leones. We're keeping an eye right now on Fury, who will probably be pretty happy with the position that they've got, because it's not really just one position. It's quite a large swath of this hill. Waikika Mukau quite south compared to the rest of his team, but just being a bit more of a scout than anything else, making sure that no one can come up from that southern part, which is exactly where VTR and Bay are going to run into each other if Victim Rise elects to keep themselves sticking around.
It's a big opportunity here for Fury, and not just themselves, but Biram are probably on the other side of the circle in a very similar situation, holding a large portion of the zone, and of course teams coming in from the blue. From the future, though, there is a knockdown, unfortunately, for Fury. I believe it is Jukesy, who is down at the moment.
Ronan, I think it is.
Ronan, okay. Well, nameplates stacking up on each other from that distance, it makes it difficult, but I'm glad your eyes are better than mine. That's okay. That's why you're here. Divine Esports, though, pushing into the warehouse behind from the future. Divine's got to be careful as the smoke equipped just wants to block off one side of the warehouse, so they're running out of the fields. It's not what you really want to see from Tede and Nando. They're just going to get dropped down by Jay and Diane.
Yeah, Defiant is going to have a bit of work to do here, because Divine are going to start to push in. Turtle cooks himself a grenade. That doesn't look like it's going to be quite on point just yet, but Levi's with this one might actually not be too bad. We'll see where that lands. Right on top of Teddy. No, it's gone a little bit too far. Big spray, though, from Levi's, and Defiant does fight hard. He's got at least a point now for his team, but he's the last one that's surviving, and it's not going to last for too long at all, is it, Xenox? Divine are the first team to get an elimination. It's from the future, out in 16th place with only 1 point on the board in game number 1.
Really well played from Divine Esports, coming in from an out position, having to breach that warehouse, played it superbly, didn't watch the situation, waiting for the knocks. They got them. They caught from the future, really napping there. 38 seconds till phase 5, and we haven't probably got the sort of bloodthirsty phase that we were anticipating. Teams have been able to sort of creep in. A couple of them, those still up north. Archangel Predator, if we don't catch the action, I'm sure the kill feed will, and that should very well say Archangel Predator killing Game Home very, very soon from what I can see on the map, and now what we can actually see on your screens, because not only are they in the blue, Jordan, but look at the elevation that Archangel Predator have here against Game Home. There is just no way out from that situation, surely, and Buriram may be able to do the same thing as well against Magic Esports.
Yeah, Magic Esports, though, have a bit of a sight line onto X Stadium. So far, not too prepared to fire those shots. We do see the circle shift coming in. And look, to be fair, this one was most likely going to go central, so all these teams won't be too surprised. Everyone has at least as fair of a chance of getting back into that one as they really can. Division X Gaming will be quite happy. Seems like their campaign here is starting pretty nicely in PCS2. Obviously, the winners of Charity Showdown here for the APAC region. Something else will fall to the blue. Archangel Predator kind of bullying Game Home a little bit here. Guess there's not really too much Game Home can do about it, apart from try and heal themselves up in the blue, but it's ticking quite a lot at the moment, isn't it? And Sylphie really only has seconds left to live, I'd say.
JKen, though, from X Stadium's just sort of popped up from behind, a bit of a third party. Momonji, though, does get the knockdown onto Vonotica, the usual star player for Day Trade Gaming, or at least the one that catches our eye the most, as Game Home Esports is finally eliminated. Now the push from MSC Theraton across the row throws out the smokes. Not only do they have to deal with the immediate threat, which is Day Trade Gaming, who are down to 3 players, though, but also, as you can see, Archangel Predator do have that Overwatch vantage point. They are going to have to leave that position, though, due to the blue. So for now, MSC Theraton should be safe. Now in a 4 versus 3 against Day Trade Gaming, using their utility well, have now put themselves in a position to well and truly come out ahead here. They've got the numbers advantage, win this fight, then you can push into the next circle. So MSC have played this well for now, but of course you don't want to slip up. You make even one mistake. If you're 15% off your game here, Day Trade will punish you.
Absolutely, and not only that, Xenox, but they've got time against them as well. Blue is starting to push in, so MSC maybe wisely are going to be backing away from this fight. Astra on the other side of the map are in an engagement with Buriram. God Meow is able to finish off Nikus, get the knock onto Zoidmate, but he won't survive for long enough to keep himself in the game, obviously. Buriram still remaining with 2, but they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, aren't they? Magic have got one side, Astra have got the other, and Buriram are in all sorts of problems here in Game 1 of PCS2.
This is a nightmare for Buriram United Esports. They looked like they had the ground covered at this portion of the circle, and unfortunately, though, they have been pinched in from both sides. Edie's now going to be smoked out from that building, and if he stays on the back side of this building, he may be also visible to Magic Esports. Although, maybe a reprieve for Edie is that Magic Esports might get pushed on by X Stadium very, very soon, as Astra are down a player. They did lose Nikus, but should be able to find their second kill here onto Edie. Zoidmate with a nade will get the knockdown. Buriram are only down to Canaxi left, who is quite literally surrounded by 4 players of Magic Esports. He's not going to be able to get away. In fact, Astra could be the ones to steal this. Astra could even be the ones to sort of reposition themselves down in front of Magic Esports, clean up. They could be the benefactors here more than anyone's. Canaxi gets Tom K pushing up the stairs. A bit of a punishment here. Magic Esports have played this too slow. They're going to get punished. A second knockdown from Canaxi. He is flashed the spray, trying to get the finish off onto the stairs here. Couldn't quite confirm it. Now does. Zoid just comes in from behind for Astra. Cleans them all up. Magic Esports have just gone poof like the Magic they are.
Well, Canaxi's still alive as well, by the way, so there is still someone that Astra needs to be aware of. Not only that, but X Stadium coming down from the hill. That's a really good, aggressive move from Astra. You can see they're thinking well about what they need to be doing. They're adapting maybe to this kind of more aggressive meta within the APAC region, and they're making it work, but wonder whether or not Canaxi can be a thorn in their side, or if he's actually just going to give those points up to the blue. Victim Rise in the meanwhile, dispatching of Bay. Neferhor knocked down by Jukesy. There's a big engagement going on between Fury and Bay, and that's on the other side of the map. Canaxi keeps himself alive with a med kit. Archangel Predator now under pressure from X Stadium. That's Marcus, who's picked up a point for his squad. And it's just, again, like you said, it's absolute madness. As soon as we get into these late-stage circles after such a slow start, there is fights all across the map, and you just can't catch everything.
33 alive, 12 teams at the 23.5 bitter mark now. Game 1 of the night here for APAC. Slow start, but now the wheels have started turning. CJ, 18 for Archangel Predator. Putting the pressure on. They've gotten 3 kills. It's a decent start for the team that performed very well in the Charity Showdown. Missed out on PCS1, but have returned in place of Bahamut Gaming from PCS1. There goes MSC Theraton. Yankee2 off is going to be eliminated. Daytrade are still fighting. They're still punching. Puchel's even finding an elimination as well. Mapu probably going to be eliminated here, and CJ's not finished yet. He wants to clean up even more kills for AAP.
Don't know if Mapu's actually going to go down. Looks like he is being res back on up, and so Archangel Predator will have one more player to deal with. KT dealing with Daytrade Gaming at the moment, and CJ just keeps an eye on those smokes, ensuring that X Stadium is not going to have a free rotation in, but that's not going to go well at all for Archangel Predator. X Stadium are putting on a show at the moment here in game number 1, but perhaps they run into someone that's even a little bit better. Canaxi stuck inside the blue. He can't get out. He will fall. Bootaram out in 9th. And X Stadium will continue to march forward. They've still got all 4 players alive. Mepu may still be picked back on up.
Man, it's not over yet up north either. Noctan from above does get tagged back though. Marcus still needs to be revived, and finally now is. What a start though for X Stadium. Their first appearance in the PUBG Continental series, and they're putting on a show right now. That nade's just gonna miss altogether. 7 points have now been acquired for X Stadium. There's 6 kills, but of course we're in the final 8, so placement points on offer. And from a distance, Extreme with a little doink headshot onto Noctan. 5 kills for Astra. They're also off to an amazing start. Cerberus still with 2 alive, 1 kill. Ghoul behind this box. How much further can he move though? How many more times can you just throw out these smokes and try and hold this position? That blue is now going to start moving.
I tell you what, I'd probably rather be Ghoul at the moment, to be honest, rather than X Stadium, because they are going to be stuck up on top of that cliff. I know Ghoul's not in a very good spot at all. But I'm just wondering, how does X Stadium get off of this cliff without dying? Noctan is himself in a vehicle. Might just send things down. It looks like they're going okay for now. X Stadium actually aren't under too much pressure. I thought Divine might push up and try and cause some problems for them. Ghoul, he'll be knocked. So X Stadium continue to frag out, but I do wonder, once they're forced to move, once this blue does push in, is this going to be the end of the rampage? Because just looking at the terrain around them, where do they go?
What a start, though, can I just say, from these Vietnamese teams so far here for game 1. It just feels like they're all just firing on all cylinders right now, led by X Stadium. Of course, great position, but where do you go from this position now? Diviner also in a good spot. Of course, Astra as well. Down to the south, Division X Gaming have been kind of quiet, but you can see the compounds that they're in. Whoa! Woohoo! Meow, you! What a shot onto Jukesy from that distance as well. We don't see too many bolties, Jordan, but that was nicely executed. 9 kills now.
Yeah, they're really ramping up quite nicely, are they? But again, time is of the essence for XS right now. They are stuck on top of that cliff. If they don't get a hard feed, things are going to be quite problematic for them. So they're really just trying to farm up as much as they possibly can before they're forced to move, before they're forced to jump off, and everyone else be damned. It is a southern shift, as we can see on the minimap there, and that is going to be bad news indeed for X Stadium. Where do they go from here now?
They don't have to go anywhere, Jordan. They just stay shooting and firing and finding kills. Apparently, that's all that they're going to be able to do, and they're doing a pretty good job of it now anyway. Jaken, 4 kills. Meow you with 3. What a start for them. And look, yeah, they're not going to probably be able to win this game. They're not going to get much more, if anything, for that matter. Divine Esports is sort of just waiting patiently below, waiting for these kills, trying to come down, but I doubt that they're going to be able to do much. Although Miao maybe could catch them off guard here because he has made it down. He's up to 75 health and can get close with the barrel.
It's really up to the timing here and whether or not he can find himself an angle. He's not in a bad spot, but he's making a bit of noise on the way down. JN perhaps seems a little aware. The Angel, though, from you, and he can win it. That's huge for XS. They can actually make their way down now, Xenox. They've got the knock on to JN. It's just Diane and Turtle left alive, but Victim Rise getting eliminated in the meanwhile. That won't help out XS. And I think they're done as well. They are indeed 7th place, but they got a lot of kills on the board, and that is still not too bad of a start at all.
Zoid may just eliminate Subang, so we're down to 5 teams remaining. Fury, Astro, make it 4 now, though, as Ronin is subsequently eliminated after. So Divine, Division X, KT, and Astra will remain. Fury do get at least 1 extra kill there with the bleed out from Ronin onto Sapao of Division X, who have got 3 players alive. 3 for Kaiser as well, and then 2 each for Astra and Divine. Down to phase 8, 6 more seconds until phase 9. Diane, 3 of the 6 kills. Zoidmate's got 4 of 6. The IGL, the Fragger, one of the best players from OCE, putting on a show right now as we are into phase 9. We have our centralized position, and it's time for everyone to start making their way in.
Well, fans of the Oceanic contingent will be hoping that Zoidmate can keep up that good work. Smoke's in front of Astra for the moment, and they're just going to try and play this one slow. They'll let everyone else finish each other off. Banking on a 3rd place here. Divine is in a very, very bad spot right now, and that's going to be it. That's Divine out of the picture. Astra have at least secured themselves a 3rd place, and they are now equal first on the rankings. Obviously, that can change very, very quickly based on the result of this game, but they are certainly starting far better than what they did in PCS1.
Kaiser Tuna and Division X as well. Good starts for these 2 teams who didn't participate in PCS1. Of course, Division X have got history from the Charity Showdown, but that's so, well, it feels like a lifetime ago now, Jordan, that it really doesn't matter anyway. And that's all that matters is now Lynxie just gets literally shot into the air by Musate. So it will fall very much immediately afterwards, thanks to Long K from Division X Gaming. 8 kills for Division X Gaming. And it comes down to sort of Vietnam time. It's a 3. Division X with 3 as well. MBK knows that they're right in front of him. Long K on the road, gets the knockdown as a Style Chi, just crossing, aggressive. The Vietnamese have just dominated game 1. They just wipe out Kaiser Tuna. 11 kill win. Division X Gaming looking to retake their crown here in PCS2 APAC. What a start, Jordan.
Yeah, well, what you're referring to, of course, is in Charity Showdown, Division X Gaming did finish off in 1st place. They actually started quite poorly. They weren't really up towards the top end of things until the 2nd week, but boy, oh boy, in that 2nd week of Charity Showdown, Division X Gaming really showed up, and if they're already getting off to a good start here in PCS2, I think that's a scary prospect for a lot of the teams that are going to be potentially trying to chase them down. They may be the new Q confirmed.
They very well could be, Jordan. They very, very well could be. Of course, a long, long, long way to go, right? We've got another 23 games. You can't get too ahead of yourself. If you can back it up, though, Jordan, what I will say in terms of doing it 2, maybe even 3 games in a row, not necessarily the chicken dinners, but just being able to have good games. What Q Confirm sort of showed us in PCS1 is the blueprint. You start well, and then you can just lead from the front for the remainder of the tournament. Great start for Division X.
Yeah, exactly. And that makes your life so much easier as you go through the rest of the weeks. Again, remembering as well that we do have a bit of a changed format in that it's only 4 games a day over the course of 6 days as opposed to 5 games a day over 4. So maybe there is a bit of extra time for teams to sort of try and catch up, but even still, getting off to a good start like that, 21 points I think it was out of game number 1, is already putting them so far ahead of everyone else. Astra and KT sitting at about 12 points, Xenox, and those are the 2 in 2nd and 3rd, so they're almost double already what's on 2nd and 3rd. Now, you know, it is only 1 game. You can't really read too much into that, but interesting start. I mean, again, you're looking at teams like MSC, someone that we thought might do pretty well, Buriram, Cerberus, all of these guys getting knocked out very, very early on in that round. So it does definitely shape things up for a pretty interesting day here.
It definitely opens up pathways potentially for multitude of teams to be able to contest, right? Which is really what you want. I mean, as much as we tried to sort of fluff things up for PCS1, it really felt like it was over before it even started, right? Because it was just all Q confirmed from game one. The same could potentially happen here, though, of course, if Division X Gaming just go on a tear tonight. But hopefully, we can see the contest really, really open up, which, I mean, besides Division X, I thought everyone else looked quite even. Of course, they're going to have a lot of teams on 0 points. This was a great push from Divine Esports, and I said it a few times during this game, Jordan, but the Vietnamese teams, they just looked on a different level so far in that game one. We'll see if they can, of course, keep it up.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to actually think about that, isn't it? Because back in PCS1, I think it was the Thai teams really that seemed to dominate, with Q Confirm coming in first, Buriram coming in second. So maybe it's time for the Vietnamese rosters to kind of show up a little bit here. They've got Division X Gaming back, the team that won Charity Showdown. And they seem like they've got a pretty strong, solid sort of competition amongst themselves within the Vietnamese region. A region also that we obviously like to talk about is the Oceanic region, Xenox. And I think actually for Fury and Astra, that's still a pretty damn good start as far as those two teams are concerned. Maybe Fury might have liked to get a little bit more out of it compared to, obviously the position that they were in. They did have 4 players alive fairly late in the game, and it looked like they might rotate in pretty well. But that great shot coming across from one of the XS players kind of put that to bed. So, a bit of bad luck there, I guess, for Fury. But nonetheless, still a pretty good start for both of the Oceanic teams as well. But here's the match leaderboard, and obviously at the moment this is the total standings as well. You can see Division X Gaming streaming out in front of everyone at the moment, and they are going to be off to a banger of a start.
Well, that's what I said, though, Jordan. Look at the top 5. 3 Vietnamese teams. Divine Esports, X Stadium, Division X Gaming. They have gotten off to a flying start. Kaiser Tuna leading the way for Thailand, and Astra leading the way for OCE on 12 points, tied with Kaiser Tuna, which is good news for Astra because they, at times, they've really throughout all of the PCS formats, Jordan, they've started very, very slow. This is their best start to any PUBG Continental Series tournament. Fury also good start for them too, on 8 points already. As we look at the top 5 for damage, JCan, not a surprise from the position that X Stadium had for the majority of that game. They could basically just shoot at almost anyone in the server. Yeah,
definitely. And another XS player there is Mio Yu jumping in 3rd place. So exactly what you're saying. And for X Stadium, we'll hope to see them being able to keep those kinds of numbers up. Another Fury player, this time it's Jukesy actually in the top 5. Traditionally, in the last season of PCS, it was Waiki Kamukau that seemed to really be leading from the front for Fury. And also no surprise really to see a Division X player in there as well. But I don't think you can read too much into the top 5 damage charts just yet. We're going to have to get a bit of a bigger data set than just the one game before we really start to sort of tick a few boxes and give people some accolades and that kind of thing.
Definitely agree with you, Jordan. Game 1, you can always sometimes overhype one game. Sometimes you can also underhype it as well, though. But I think in this case, we've probably hyped it up just as it should be, which is a great start for Division X. And for the teams that potentially haven't started as they would have liked, teams like Bay, for instance, 0 points, debuting for the Malaysia-Singapore slot, they'll pick things up. They will improve as we go on, along with many, many other teams. A team like Buriram United, for instance, a bit of an unfortunate game getting pinched from 2 different teams, Astra and Magic Esports, where it looked like they were in a good position. Everything was going great. And then, unfortunately, all sort of just folded in on top of them towards the end. So the game pretty much had everything. A slow start, a completely Fnatic sort of ending as well, but also some really good PUBG led by sort of the Vietnamese teams. And I'm very much excited to see sort of what we're going to have in store for us tonight, considering it's only going to be 4 games. We've only got 3 more games tonight, 1 more in Miramar, 2 more on Erangel. So there's no room for any weaknesses, Jordan. You can't have really bad game 1s. You can't have bad game 2s, especially if you do in fact have a bad game 1.
No, definitely not. And we've already spoken about how easy things got for Q Confirm after they started off so well in PCS1. Now in PCS2, teams like Cerberus, teams like Buriram, who were expected to be top runners, teams that were really challenging for that first place, so far haven't actually got themselves off to that good start. So if Division X Gaming is going to be one of those teams that really does make that early run, yes, we're probably expecting to see Buriram and Cerberus and those kinds of teams being able to try and catch up. But playing catch up is so much more difficult than sort of being the one to defend that tile, to defend first place, because obviously you have to not only get the extra points, but you also have to hope that your opponent's not being able to have a great time on any given day as well. So I think that, yeah, obviously for Division X Gaming, they'll be feeling pretty happy, but these next 3 games, you know, the first day of PCS2 is going to tell us quite a lot when it does come to what we're expecting from the rest of the competition.
Biram's not the only one sort of that had a bad start. I mean, like for example, MSC Theraton, right? I feel like maybe I'm overhyping this because obviously I don't get to see the Thailand series as much as those from Thailand, but these guys keep performing extraordinarily well in their own region. Guys like, Yoshi Minburi have been compared to people like Duckmans, for instance, and yet what we have now seen in PCS1 was they underperformed slightly, especially Yoshi Minburi. Not a good start here for PCS2 either. Of course, long way to go. Don't want to just sort of slam it on them, but of course they are going to have to pick things up along with the likes of Buriram United, for instance, as well. Another one is potentially Cerberus too, right? Like we've got all these Vietnamese teams up top, and the team that's considered to be the best of them only got 3 points in game 1.
Yeah, I sort of thought, I've heard that Cerberus is coming in as one of the hot favorites. So to see them start off poorly, not great news. But I guess that's the benefit as well of being one of the better teams, is that, you started a little bit slow. It's still not too much of a concern. If you're an underdog, if you're one of the weaker teams coming in, you kind of need to be putting in those strong performances from the outset. But if you are one of the better teams, you should generally have faith in your roster and your ability to be able to come back in the late stages of the tournament, regardless of how you start. And obviously, we're benefited as well this time, Xenox, by having an extra 4 games. So that gives you a little bit more leeway towards the end of things. And over the long term, we're expecting these teams to sort of have a bit of a better time. The better teams, theoretically, if there's more games, should have more likelihood of being able to get themselves a top placing. So hopefully that's something that we're going to see for the likes of Cerberus and Buriram. They're going to obviously be looking to, bounce back here in game 2. Another one of the teams that we want to talk about, of course, Archangel Predator. They did pretty well in Charity Showdown, better than we actually expected for a team coming from the Philippines. They finished in 4th place. Yeah. They haven't really started off phenomenally today either. They got 3 points on the board, and they're sitting in 8th at the moment. So, look, it is early days. I don't think that there's really too much that you can say. Obviously, we're waffling on a little bit about one game, but it is what it is. And I guess, really, we just have to wait and see how things pan out over the rest of these games tonight.
The other thing as well is, and I know you sort of touched on it very briefly in the pre-game show, and it's not going to be as much of a factor potentially, is of course the difference between Miramar and Erangel. Not only that, but also sort of starting on Miramar. It's not the norm. We're used to starting on Erangel, so some teams that maybe started a bit sluggish could turn things around pretty quickly on Erangel.
Yeah, I suspect so. Obviously, we have spoken about that quite a lot in previous seasons as well, Xenox, particularly looking at teams like Fury, who had a pretty decent performance there on map number 1. But remember, they picked up 66% of their points on Miramar last season. So that's obviously a great start for them here, but you've got to think about the context of them being able to pick up more points on Miramar than they are on Erangel as a general rule. That goes all the way back to 2019 when we were casting them in ANZ Champs. So they want to have another good performance here on Miramar. Expecting them probably to slow down towards the later half of tonight. And obviously they want to make sure that they get those points on the board before that slowdown does happen.
Awesome. We're going to go to a quick break. On the other side will be game 2 on Miramar, so stay tuned. Hey, welcome back, everybody, for PCS2 APAC. We are very, very shortly ready to get into game number 2, which, of course, will be on Miramar. We saw Division X Gaming take out game number 1 in their return to the PUBG Continental Series. Jordan, it's been a long-awaited return for them, of course, as well, since the Charity Showdown all those months ago.
Yeah, definitely a good start for them, but also for Kaiser Tuna and Astra being able to get themselves a 2nd and 3rd place, respectively. XS, the team obviously coming through from Thailand as well. X Stadium, we thought, oh, what's going on here? These guys seem pretty sharp, and they were sharp indeed. They got themselves 10 kills in that game, so they're doing pretty well as well. Going all the way down to Divine and Fury, I think are probably the top 6 there, probably pretty happy with how things went in that first game. The rest, a little bit of work to do to sort of catch up on things. So we'll see how they go here into game number 2. Is the final map of Miramar tonight. Remember, we do only have 4 maps tonight instead of 5. And following Division X Gaming out of the plane, as they, of course, were the victors in game number 1. Great start for them. We'll see if they can go back-to-back, similar to what Q Confirmed did at the start of PCS1.
How good's this? Straight into the game. No dilly-dallying, messing around, straight in as we follow Division X Gaming, and we'll see whether or not they're going to be able to get 2 chicken dinners in a row. You're the stats guy, though, Jordan. You know this more than me. Was it Q Confirm who did, in fact, get 2 wins to start off PCS1?
Yep.
Awesome.
It was.
Well, that was. Thank you for the very, very short, abrupt answer. But hey, you
8 kills and 13 kills.
There we go.
To know.
Yeah, no, I did want to know.
Yeah, so they really started off with an absolute banger. That's what, 18 points and then 23 points out of the first 2 games. I don't know what the maths is there. My maths on stream's not too good, but I remember them being at like 60 points or something like that after day number 1, or very, very close to it, which was just unreasonable because you wouldn't expect. That was like 12 points a game. I'm pretty sure I remember that. They were like 12 points a game out of the first, maybe it was even the first week, and we were just saying like, yeah, you're not going to be able to keep that up. There's no chance you get 12 points a game over the course of 20 games. But realistically, do they even need 12 points a game anymore? No. They probably need like 6 points a game from here on out to make themselves pretty happy with the scoreline that they get. And to be fair, they did get about 6 or 7 points a game from the rest of the competition. They still won. So you put yourselves in a good spot out of week 1, out of day 1, and sometimes it's impossible to catch.
Division X Gaming, of course, though, and sort of what this all relates to, can now put themselves in that position where if they can have another 20-point game and you're sitting on like 40 points and maybe the next best is on 20, like you already then have a 20-point gap with still 22 games remaining. Now, that's the catch-22 of the situation, is that, of course, there's still a lot of games to play, but it's always better to have a lead than to not have the lead. You always want to play from the front, especially in a 24-game format, as Q Confirm sort of showed us last time out in PCS1. We'll see how it happens, though, see how it sort of transpires here for match number 2. And the other sort of side of the coin here, and I sort of brought it up as well in the break just with you, was, again, I mentioned it before, but starting with Miramar versus Erangel could have thrown a spanner in the works for some teams. Erangel, of course, is the traditional map. Some teams are still going to prefer it, even after all these years. They're still going to have just better games on it, maybe be more prepared for it. And typically when it's the map you start the night on, and now it no longer is, it can kind of just mess with your synergy, I guess, as a team. So when we do switch over to Erangel, I'm 100% positive, in fact, and the stats usually back it up, there will be at least one team that will kind of switch with it from bad to good.
Or vice versa, from good to bad. I wonder what teams do feel about the change up to starting on Miramar. Like maybe we're reading into it a little bit too much, and maybe the teams really just don't care at all. But I do wonder, if you're a really strong Miramar team, do you prefer to start on Miramar and get off to a good start for the day, start to feel it there on Miramar? Or do you like to ease into things, maybe not have that pressure, play a couple of rounds of Erangel, start to get the aim on point, start to feel a little bit more, good going into the Miramar map? I don't know. I guess that's really down to the team mentality. And again, like I said, maybe we're also reading into it just a little bit too much as well. It doesn't seem to have affected teams like Fury, teams like Astra, who did pick up a lot more points on Miramar last season. They both had a pretty decent start to this season of PCS2, but I definitely want to follow that up here in the second game. Now, something a little bit interesting going on here. Game home, God Nu, is hanging around near Cerberus. So far, Cerberus haven't seen him. but he's definitely aware that there's some Cerberus players nearby. You can hear Subang driving around at the moment. Probably expecting another player in that compound above him as well. So I do wonder, what are his intentions here? Maybe just to hide and make sure that he doesn't get into an early engagement.
Maybe he's just there to be the friendly neighbor. You're just putting too much assumptions here. He just wants to scout out, say hi, drop off some refreshments for Basil. Of course, though, in this game, the refreshments would be bullets to the head, but that's probably the plan. 3 minutes till phase 2, and I kind of anticipate that we're going to have another slow start to this game in particular on Miramar. Miramar just tends to have slower starts than Erangel. It's just a fact.
Yep.
And whenever you're also at the start of a fresh tournament, teams, of course, are going to want to just play things a bit safe, a bit slow. What's intriguing, though, is that basically since Charity Showdown, then PCS1, and now PCS2, the APAC region just feels like it gets more and more passive with each tournament that goes by. Like Charity Showdown, by now we would have had 3 breaches and 10 dead. Like that's just the nature of what that tournament sort of played like. PCS1 then became a bit more structured and even more so now here for PCS2. Like at times during that first game, I felt like I was watching EU play style in terms of positioning and structure and no real breaches and teams just more so vying for position.
I guess, look, when there's $200,000 on the line, teams might start to adapt and not necessarily improvise, but play the game, quote unquote, the way it's meant to be played, as opposed to sort of just YOLOing around quite a bit more. I think the stakes are getting raised and the expectations are starting to be higher for the teams from the APAC region now, as well as we head into, obviously, the second season. You know, so teams that have been around, that have been competing at this level for the last couple of seasons are starting to elevate themselves to a better place, I guess. Bay, the team on the screen right now, featuring Flood and Neferhor, who are the ones on the rotate at the moment. A new site in PCS. They've been sticking around. They've been kicking around since PCS1 in at least this iteration. But they didn't qualify for PCS1.
There's a code, by the way, Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just,
put it in.
I don't know, just for someone who's maybe looking at their other monitor and wants to quickly try and jot that one down for the Pick'em challenge.
Yeah. Take a screenshot. It's probably easier. But yeah, I mean, interested to see how some of these newer teams, the ones that we haven't seen in PCS1 or in Charity Showdown, are going to perform, you know? Talking about the likes of Bay, the likes of From the Future, although we did have a From the Future roster. It was a different roster than the one that we've currently got. Game Home Esports we haven't seen before. Kaiser Tuna, Magic Esport. So quite a few teams that are fairly fresh faces to PCS.
Long K, you want to explain what's happened here? Or just turn you back and run. There's an interesting story, actually, and it involves our good friend Nicholas 101 with his new team with Hambino over in North America. Every time he would flip his vehicle, he would just say he actually ran out of fuel and he needed to pick up.
Right.
And they believed him for a good amount of time, actually, until they kind of caught on and wondered how his vehicles were always running out of fuel. And then they realized he was just crashing them that often.
That is quite strange, isn't it? And surely if you go to pick your mate up, you would see the flipped vehicle, wouldn't you? Or was he specifically running away from the vehicle to just try and hide the fact that he's flipped it?
Well, I would say he was probably running away from the vehicle. Yeah, that would probably be the one. As we see Game Home continue to be sneaky. I don't think God News moved for very, very long. He has just stayed here waiting and watching as Basil just gets popped from behind. Hisaki trying to fire back, but they've already been invaded before they even realized. It was like a stealth operation converted by Game Home, and it's going to be successful. Marcus going to be flushed out. Maybe flashed as well at that point. Jaken, though, with the Org, is going to get the knockdown into Levi's and Turtle, and all of a sudden Divine have just been sort of like they've walked into the spider's web of X Stadium. Marcus had to run, but he didn't have to run for long. Now he turns around and starts firing. 2 dead for Divine. In fact, it's 3 dead. There's only 1 left. It's Diane.
He's already hit the headshot into Diane as well. Nocturne does get knocked down, but that is not going to matter too much at all. He should be res back on up. X Stadium with the fast rotate in. Cavalry arrives, and again, a great start here from X Stadium. This is a bit more like it, Xenox. This is the APAC that we know and love.
Yeah.
The early game fights, the engagements, and they're all over the map as well. Cerberus did, of course, lose one earlier on in the piece. So one team out already. That's Divine. And one team having lost a player. That's Cerberus. Astra also seem to have a neighbor, at least for now. Whether or not that will end up being engagement remains to be seen.
Dangerous times here potentially for Cerberus as well. Miramar kind of close, not really close enough though. Decent nade, just goes underneath the Murado and away from Haisaki. But as you mentioned, this is very much what we are typically used to see in the APAC region. These early fights, early exchanges, some teams even breaching compounds, for instance, even though it's only phase 2. And well, there's typically enough space for everyone to find something. Nice knockdown from Nordra, who was one of the first players in game number 1 that was eliminated.
There goes the car.
No. It just keeps on going on from Haisaki, and another rough start potentially for Cerberus, down to just 2 players. Marcus is like deja vu. He's going to be sent packing from another compound. This time, can he get away? Yes, still. Just like last time, survives X Stadium, 4 kills, still 4 players alive as they're in the thick of the action early here for game 2.
Man, if X Stadium only knew that that was only 2 Cerberus players, they might have actually stuck around and tried to take that fight, because it would have been a 4-on-2. They'd be getting one of the main competitors out of the picture early on in match 2 as well. But to be honest, as far as X Stadium is concerned, if they can keep up the good work that they put in game 1, they'll be quite happy with themselves. Had a bit of a rough circle towards the end of things, but they certainly were fragging out, and I think they're actually the kill leaders at the moment as far as team kills go. So they'll be feeling pretty happy. Kaiser Tuna also here on your screen. They're quite far down to the southern part of the map. We'll see where this next circle shift does come in. Right on top of Picardo. That's an interesting one. Game Home do have a player right in the smack bang center of Picardo, so they'll be setting it right there as soon as they see that circle popping. Astra doing much the same. Probably a few teams to follow.
That's a juicy, juicy circle, Jordan. Can I just say that? Picardo is like the red dot of a dartboard, and everyone is just going to want to get the full points here. Astra, of course, are going to get there pretty early on. Game Home are close. What this can do, though, is it can actually... It can kind of slow the game down even further towards phase 4 and potentially phase 5. Although Picardo's not a large city, it can still kind of house quite a few players and quite a few teams. There's a lot of surrounding buildings around Picardo, though. Sapao, Division X Gaming. That's a nice knockdown onto Rossiter Jr. MSC Theraton still on 0 points, currently tied for dead last. They need to pick things up. I know it's only game 2, but you can't just be losing fight after fight. Yoshi Minburi, the MVP, jumps out of the window. Doesn't go for the shots, though. In fact, expecting to get shot at, goes for cover instead. Defensive play. Apparently nothing coming from that. Must have just run straight back inside as we cut away to the other 2 members of MSC who are actually in a fight with Archangel Predator. So we know that Yoshi Minburi isn't going to get any help over towards the other fight with Division X Gaming. They are split. They are in trouble. Well, Vega God does get the knockdown onto 1 member from Archangel Predator. It's a start, potentially, for MSC to try and get out of trouble here. Miramar United Esports just holding out towards the edge of the blue. Phase 3, just about closing in about 35 seconds time. And yet still throughout what's been more of a hectic start than game 1, we've still got 57 alive. Breach potentially coming in though. X Stadium pushing on the Magic Esports. Tonkei got to get that knockdown and does. Executes it sublimely. So Labby as well in the other position will get Marcus. And for all of the good doings that X Stadium have been able to achieve, not only in game 1, but even at the start here for game 2. Now down to 2 players, losing that fight pretty convincingly as well, might I add, to Magic Esports, a team that did struggle in game 1. And as we get our phase 4 circle, it will continue to shift down to the south, away from the mountain range, up north of Picardo. Picardo is still very much a central figure point. Noctan not giving up on this though. Does lose Jken. 5 kills for X Stadium, but dropping by Loe's side. Buriram as well towards Graveyard are getting some third-party shots in this. As Edie picks up a kill for Buriram United Esports, it's Boshi who goes down. Nordra picks up a kill too. Buriram well and truly on the board here.
Indeed, and that's a much better turnaround from what we saw at the start of today. For them, Archangel Predator under a little bit of pressure as well, having rotated into the circle. But they're still dealing with MSC, and they're not actually quite all the way into the circle. So they do have a fair bit of work to do here. I don't know who that is right up above them, but it's Carbs at the moment that's just watching the stairs. I think it's only one MSC player left alive, and indeed it is. This could be another 0-point game for MSC if Yanku can't get anything done. He's jumped out, he's donezo, and that is going to be that. MSC 2 games in a row with 0 points on the board. And that's definitely not the start that they would have been wanting here for PCS2. Great news, though, for Archangel Predator. Definitely opens up their rotate in, and they do keep 3 players alive as well. So things are looking good, at least for the team from the Philippines. Other teams that are quite happy, those that are set up inside of Picardo. Day Trade do have a 2-2 split at the moment. They're probably actually in the best position, whether this goes north or south, that they'll be reasonably okay. Astra have got all 4 players alive in Picardo. Game Home as well as FTF. So those are probably the 4 teams that you keep an eye on here, unless we get a bit of a harder shift out towards the east or down to the south. Then maybe Bay or Fury will be quite well equipped. Either way, a few teams have got 4 players alive inside of the circle, and they'll be awaiting where this next shift is going to go in the next minute and a half.
Another poor game for MSC Theraton. They'll be stuck dead last after 2 games. A team that, once again, coming into PCS with so many expectations, falling short of the mark. Buriram, though, definitely turned things around here for game 2. That's for sure. Already finding themselves climbing up the standings. That's a decent little maneuver from Tong K. And we'll send it in to Picardo successfully for Magic Esports as the solo player left alive. Nicely done. That could have really just kind of gone all ends up wrong.
Interesting.
As we look at the PCS2 champion predictions, Jordan, stats, you love your stats.
I do love my stats. Fury are actually up quite high. To be fair, they did perform pretty admirably in PCS1. They took a 4th place, and a couple of the teams that actually beat them are now out of the picture. So, in fact, Buriram, the only team that performed better than Fury, is only slightly more favored. 157 points expected. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see that. We'll keep it tracking. MSC at the moment, the team that's supposedly 3rd likeliest to win, currently dead last, 0 points on the board. So, look, stats aren't everything. I'm a big lover of stats, as you know, Xenox, but MSC would certainly have been hoping for better.
Just want to sort of update everyone as well. As you may have seen in chat, the map stream is now live. PUBG Esports map on Twitch to keep up to date with the map at all times. Phase 5 we go, chips away from Picardo. Not good news for Game Home Astra from the future, as well as, of course, Tong K, the solo for Magic Esports. And all these teams, Jordan, that I mentioned now are going to be in this sort of chaos ball situation, trying to run out of a city, going into an open area circle. It's not going to be friendly. It's going to be great, though, potentially for Fury. I mean, Fury is probably in the box seat right now, potentially along with Bay. So some teams, of course, are always going to get the benefit of a circle. Others have got, well, some work to do.
Well, that was what I was talking about. You know, one of those 2 teams, or both of those teams, in fact, were really sort of praying for a bit of a harder shift down to the southeast, and they've both got it. Division X forced into a risky maneuver. They're going for the breach onto Day Trade. Luckily for them, it's only 2 Day Trade players here in this position, so they should be able to deal with it. But NBK, the last alive, a wild spray. He can't connect the shots. It's all gone wrong for Division X Gaming. They're out in 14th. Day Trade picking up the majority of those kills. I think Astra might have snuck one as well. Oh, dearie me. Division X, it started well. They got the initial knock, but they haven't been able to do too much past that, and they're out now. So, chances for everyone else to catch up.
Absolutely messy for Division X game. But as you said, though, everyone else now gets a reprieve. They get a chance to catch up. Unlike what we saw in PCS1, Canaxi, though, from behind, Subang just completely unaware of Canaxi's position. Insight would have seen it all happening as he's been firing from this distance. Fury only the 1 kill, but 4 players alive. Decent position inside of the circle. Mind you, potentially a few more kills coming their way over the next couple of minutes. Cerberus are going to be eliminated. Ghoul is out. Insight, Jukesy finding kills. And like I said, their time of kills are coming now. Bay, though, going to get pushed on. There's the remnants of Division X Gaming here at the bottom of Day Trade. Still Calbot trying to stay alive for Archangel Predator. Just going to get mollied to death by Flash. That's one way to get a kill. 11 teams left, 34 alive. Great game from Day Trade so far. And of course, top spot now sort of up for the taking after the second game does end here very, very soon.
My question is, how long is Day Trade going to keep this 2-2 split going? Because if Veronica and Puchil stick around a little bit too long, they might actually get themselves caught in a big crossfire between 4 or 5 teams. You can see it's Astra at the moment that are trying to get out of Picardo. They have the numbers on the board, but Magic's there as well. So is FTF, although I think FTF is now out of the picture. Magic might be donezo as well. Everyone coming out of Picardo is not going to be having a very good time. I see Extreme now knocked down as well, so Astra have lost 1. FTF does get eliminated in 9th place. And Day Trade, well, that 2-2 split seems to be working out for them. Venotica being able to farm up a storm on all of those teams trying to get out of Picardo.
X Stadium, so that's what, first place out, second place out as well. Astra apparently down a player right now. Bureram United are just on a tear right now for game 2, looking to close Miramar off in great fashion. Unfortunately for Bay, while they had a good position, just unable to win the fights when it matters. Flood, the last one, alive. They have got a point thanks to the placement position inside of the top 8. That's the only point they've got so far now in the first 2 games. Fury just watching, trying to feed onto Bureram United outside this compound. There's a huge opportunity, Jordan, for Fury to potentially win this game. Even a team like Astra, for instance, up north, if they can clean out Day Trade from that point onwards, they'll have 4 alive. They've got already a decent amount of points gathered over these first 2 games. It's a really good start for the 2 OCE teams.
Yep.
Unfortunately for Bay, horrible start.
It's pretty wishful thinking, though, I think, for Astra to get rid of Day Trade at the moment. They are really stuck inside of a crossfire. The 2-2 split does still persist for Day Trade, and even now you can see Flash has gotten the knock and the kill onto Zoidmate. Lynxy suffering what looks to be much the same fate, and this will be the breach from Day Trade. They know that there's only 1 player left alive for Astra, so they're going to try and get aggressive, finish these guys off. Grenade does go through. Don't know if it did. Well, either way, I think it might have. The molly certainly stuck, and that's going to be that. Astra's out in 6th. Not a bad start again, though. To be honest, for Astra, you can take that. They stay in 4th place. And for the Oceanic contingent, the fans over there, their eyes turn to Fury, who might be in a position to have one of those Miramar games that we all know and love, Xenox.
Potentially, but now I kind of just put the ball into Day Trade Gaming's court, right? They've already gotten a ridiculous amount of kills this game. They've now got the position inside of the circle that I thought Astra would have had. It's a pretty decent spot. They could go on and win this game, claim first place for themselves after 2 games. Yep. Of course, as he said, though, definitely can't count out Fury. Bureram on the move as well. I mean, right now, the teams we kind of expected to be doing well are doing well, minus a couple. Likes of Cerberus, for instance, I really thought they'd be inside of the top 5 or 6, even after 2 games. They're
MSC?
Definitely, MSC as well. Those 2 teams missing more so than anything.
Most definitely, but Bureram certainly are bouncing back very, very well after a poor game 1. Already back up to 6th place. They've got 14 points on the board. Been fragging well. They may just run into Fury. Having a look at that circle shift, though, it's not too favorable for Fury. Certainly very good for Bureram, though. It means they don't have to move too far. Game Home, sitting kind of in the center of the map, are almost gatekeeping Victim Rise and Day Trade out of the circle a little bit. So perhaps, again, this is an opportunity for Fury to either consolidate their position inside of the circle and deal with Bureram, or try to get aggressive and deal with the players rotating in. It looks like they've gone for a bit of both. They've gone for a bit of a split here, Fury. Waikiki Mukau has gone central, spots out Edie, cleans him up. Needs to be wary, though. A player on his right. And Canaxi will trade back down for Edie, who is finished off by Waikiki Mukau. But similarly, Nordra will get the finish on to Waikiki. So it's a 1-for-1 trade in the end there for Buriram and Fury. But they both know where one another are. And Fury turn their attention away from dealing with Buriram for the moment. Jukesy double tap onto Genfos. That's the end of him, and that's the end of Victim Rise as well.
Down to 4 teams remaining here for game 2. Day Trade still with 4 players alive, and they keep pushing closer and closer towards game home. Buriram United, decent position. And right now, while Fury have been good, they are down to 3, and their potential to be pinched is coming up very, very soon. They do spot, though, all of game home sitting inside of that shack down onto Selfie. They've got Molotovs, potentially nades as well from Venotica. Just cleans them up in one go. 14 kills now for Day Trade Gaming. 6 to Venotica, not a surprise. 22 points, and they're on the verge of claiming top spot after 2 games. 3 teams remain, Day Trade, Fury, and Buriram.
Well, Canaxi is going to be the thorn in the side for Fury, but if no one deals with Fury, they are the ones with the high ground, and they'll be the ones to dictate how this game plays out. Canaxi has dropped Ronan, though, with a headshot, and that is really now where Buriram and Day Trade need to try and get some more pressure onto Fury. If they let this res happen, Fury can really continue to dictate how the game plays out. Buriram aware of it. They're pushing up the hill. So is Day Trade. They know that they need to get Fury off the top of this hill.
10 kills for Buriram. Day Trade with 14. Fury, decent amount as well. 3v4 in favor of Day Trade Gaming. Coming in from the south, close by Fury. Fury have got the high ground against Day Trade, but then, of course, they can be third-partied by Buriram United. Flash will just come up like a flash of lightning. Just gets 3! Oh my goodness! They didn't even have a chance to react. They are just cleaning up the server. Day Trade Gaming are well on their way to claiming their first win here. I don't think Buriram can stop them right now. A 20-kill win surely is coming up.
That is going to be a huge win from Day Trade Gaming if they are able to get it over the line. Canaxi has got the knock, though, onto Venotica. I don't think we can count Buriram out just yet. Remember the magic of Nordra in PCS1. Buriram, a team that started poorly here in PCS2, but was greatly expected to perform well. Came second in PCS1 behind Q Confirm. And a win here would put them right back in the discussion. Already they're back in the discussion, back up to 18 points. How many more can they get, though? 4 points on offer from the kills. Maybe another 4 from the placement.
Well, I could just say, Jordan, if game 1 was all about the Vietnam teams, game 2 is now all about Thailand. Well and truly, Day Trade and Buriram have just led from the front here and said, well, don't get too cozy off one game. In game 2, we've already shown what we are now capable of, and it feels like a boxing match. Round 1, Vietnam. Round 2, Thailand.
Which team from Thailand, though, is going to be having the success? Quite a slow start to this 2-on-2. 1-on-1, I should say, between these two teams. It's a 4-on-3, though, as far as players are concerned. Venotica does hit a nade onto Nordra, and that is great news for Day Trade. They're going to be able to put the pedal to the metal here now, throwing all that util and flashes going through, stuns going through. Venotica throws another grenade, and Norins catches Canaxi. It's just one player left for Buriram, but it won't last too long. Day Trade complete almost the perfect game. That's a huge win for them and puts them right up to the top of the standings.
20-kill win. Day Trade Gaming are here to play. 7 to Venotica, 5 to Flash, and that quick 3K transfer at the end was sensational. Lawrence as well with 6 kills. These guys are here not just to participate, not just here to make up the numbers, Jordan, but they are here to try and get the win here for PCS2. They very well can do that. They take top spot. I know it's only game 2. Buriram as well have also been able to get back into the frame, the picture, right? Because they started game one pretty poor. Now for game two, they're back already. You can't count any of these teams out after one, even maybe two bad games. So in saying that, these teams, have they sort of given a pathway for something like, say, MSC Theraton to get back into it? We'll have to wait and see, but it's all about day trade after that one.
Well, that's the beauty of it, isn't it? It's if one team can go and grab 2 or 3 good games in a row, then everyone's thinking, oh crap, now we're going to have to try and catch back on up. But because Division X has such a poor performance there, teams like Fury, teams like Buriram are now actually starting to knock down the door of the team that got the round 1 victory. So, I mean, you know, is the argument is there, is it better to have those 1 big games, or is it better to have 2 or 3 pretty consistent games? So far, Fury are going for the latter. They've got 5th place with 5 kills, a 3rd place with 6 kills, 2 pretty decent results. Buriram, 9th place in game 1, 2 kills, but a great bounce back here. 2nd place in game 2, 10 kills. And of course, Day Trade Gaming, how can we go without speaking about them? 1st place, 20 kills. When was the last time you saw a 20 kill win, Xenox? That's 30 points in one game.
Yeah, especially for PCS APAC as well, as you said. It's a huge amount. Maybe Q Confirm got close to it. I don't know if they actually cracked the 2-0 in PCS1 at any point.
No, they didn't. 13 was their max.
Not good enough either from Battle Arena Elite, so I'm going to definitely start to put the pressure on them, along with MSC Theraton too. 2 teams I would have expected more from, and honestly, if I'm going to round it out to 3, Cerberus. Those are the 3 teams, in my eyes, that really need to pick up the pace when we switch over to Erangel. Fury did really well with their position that they had. I mean, you know, you talk about, do you want to sort of play for consistency? What a nade, though, from Veronica. Or get those big games. I don't think Fury would be sitting back and saying, Jordan, yeah, we loved our 5-6 point games. They would want a 20 kill win. If you only have a 20 kill win, and then maybe you get a 5 kill win after a 5 kill performance after that, who cares? You always take those big games when you can get them.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I would take a 20 kill win any day of the week. Obviously, we can't talk about the good without talking about the bad, though, Xenox. And so far, MSC, FTF, both haven't been able to pick up a single point on the board. Battle Arena Elites as well, only the 1 point so far. So this is the match leaderboard. This is not the total standings, but 30 points from one game. I really can't remember the last time I've ever seen a 20 kill win, to be honest. Xenox has not happened in PCS so far, not in APAC Season 1, not in Charity Showdown. Buriram United, I mean, they get 16 points out of it. You think that'd be pretty good, but kind of pales in comparison to 30 points.
I mean, there's to put it into this perspective, Jordan, right? After 2 games played now, no team has got 30 points as a whole. Now, fortunately for everyone else, Day Trade Gaming had a pretty subpar game 1. They only picked up the 3 kills, so they're going to be on just 33 points in total. It's not like they had a Division X game in game 1, for instance, where they picked up the 20 or so points. So they could have easily been then potentially on 50 points. This is what we were talking about sort of at the start of the game in relation to Division X, who did bow out very early. In fact, it was like 14th with 2 kills. So they gained very, very little. But looking at sort of the total leaderboard as a whole, and we'll get to that very shortly. Damage to the top 5, no surprise, of course, the Day Trade guys and Buriram as they went all the way to the end. But the bottom 4, Jordan, MSC Theraton, Bay, Cerberus, and From the Future, 3 out of 4 of those teams I would have not thought would be in the bottom 4. I know it's only 2 games in, and Day Trade has shown us how quickly you can turn things around, but they've got to pick it up here and going into Erangel.
100%. You know, we talk about this all the time. Getting off to a bad start is fine. But how often do you actually see a team come back from such a deficit? You know, you're now 33 behind number 1, which is like a day's worth of points trying to catch up almost. You know what I mean? So, to be honest, there aren't really that many opportunities left. Like, I know we've still got 22 games, but are you expecting Day Trade to slow down? Are you expecting Division X to slow down? Not necessarily. So FTF and MSC definitely need to be putting in that hard work. So does Bay, so does Cerberus. I mean, even all the way up to Victim Rise, who are still only on 8 points. There's a lot of teams that are starting to get left behind. We're only 2 games in. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of work to be done by those teams.
I definitely agree with you. In saying that, though, when you say, for instance, are there a lot of opportunities? Of course, there are an immense amount of opportunities still remaining. 22 games, in fact. So for those 3 teams that I mentioned, Cerberus, Bay, MSC, there is a plethora of chances still for them. But I think the point you're making now is while you've still got those chances, you're now playing from a deficit of like 30 points, right? So for the remainder of the tournament, you have got this constant reminder of like, hey, we not only needed to keep playing a lot better, but we've also now have to bridge this gap that we have already fallen into. You have another bad game here, for instance, and let's say Day Trade going to have like a 15-point game. That 33-point gap now becomes a 48-point gap, and so on and so on and so on. So very quickly, things can definitely snowball away from you, even though you might have, say, 20 games remaining, for instance. And speaking of snowballing, in fact, Jordan, we're going to segue and snowball into a break. On the other side, though, we head over to the luscious green Erangel. 2 games in the book. We've completed our portion of Miramar for the night. We're going to be heading on to Erangel very, very shortly for games 3 and 4. Welcome on back. So far, round 1 was all Vietnam. Round 2, Jordan, though, was all Thailand.
Yeah, and that's always great to see. We like to see that battle between the two regions. Obviously, there's a few more regions to talk about. The Oceanic teams are doing pretty well. Archangel Predator, maybe not off to the start that they would have liked, but they're kind of still hanging around a little bit. They're in 10th place at the moment, so team from the Philippines is doing okay for themselves. The Indonesian teams probably not having the start that they would have liked either, but I think there's still plenty of time left in this competition, Zenox, so we can't get too far ahead of ourselves.
Of course, definitely. I mean, I mentioned it before the break, right? 22 games still to be played. It's hard to sit back and say, for instance, that teams don't have really any chances remaining. But saying that, though, I mean, as we keep saying, you do have to start somewhere. You got to start and build this platform to get back in, start trying to, you know, improve your performances so that you don't just go and try and hope, we're going to go from 0 points to 30 points like day trade. Not everyone can do those sort of games, for instance. So start slow, build strong, finish strong. And that's the goal here as we head into Erangel for the teams like Cerberus, like Bay, like MSC. It's time to up the pace here. Finish the night off strong here on Erangel, the home of PUBG, and see if they can turn things around.
Well, Erangel, love it. I know you're a fan. I'm a fan. You're a big fan of finishing the maps off on Erangel. We'll see how this one does go. And keeping a keen eye on some of the teams that did perform better on Miramar as they do head into Erangel and see whether or not that is going to translate across. Obviously, Fury has been one of those big discussion points. 66% of their points coming from Miramar last season. Astra as well, 55. Buriram, 55 as well. So there's a few teams that did tend to lean a little bit more heavily on Miramar than they did on Erangel. Buriram, they did start off pretty poorly, but they had a very good game too. And they'll look to consolidate their position here in game number 3. Bay looking to loot up Milta.
Look at that circle though, Jordan. I was just pointing it out. You could have mentioned something. Come on, you're a professional.
What?
That's fine. I still forgive you. I love you, Jordan. Look, all I was just trying to point out is the circle far out to the east, you know.
Yeah.
An interesting one, right? 90% of the time, it feels like when we're on Erangel, it's usually just over the Gakka Fields, which, speaking of interesting, this is interesting for CJ 18 of Archangel Predator. Going up against Division X Gaming's Sapao. Great game number 1 for Division X Gaming. Game 2 definitely leaving a lot to be desired, and game 3 might just follow suit here. From sort of 0 to 0 right now for Division X Gaming, from game 1 now to game 3, a total transformation.
Indeed, indeed. Archangel Predator, they're going to want to continue to put those numbers on the board. They're the only team from the Philippines, so definitely trying to fly that flag proudly for the region. They have a long way to rotate across, though. They are one of the teams that has dropped in Gakka Field, so seeing a circle like this one, Xenox, is going to mean they have a long way to go. So too is MSC. You can see them at the bottom of the standings at the moment. And they are all the way over on the western coast. So they're probably going to spend half of this game rotating across. It's definitely not how they'd want to have started their campaign here on Erangel.
Speaking of sort of transformation, I guess Buriram United is the team that has sort of transformed themselves after game 1. There's a few that sort of need to look towards Buriram and day trade and how they can sort of turn things around in the same fashion. Because Erangel's a different beast, though. And we had some very, very slow starts on Miramar. Really slow starts. I mean, game 2 was a little bit more fast-paced, a couple of breaches. Game 1, I think it ended up taking about 13 minutes until the first knock. I don't suspect, and especially with the circle that we saw before here for Phase 1, that this will play in a similar fashion. I kind of anticipate that we are going to see some skirmishes, not so much here in Phase 1, but I wouldn't even be surprised to say Phase 2, definitely by Phase 3. So,
yeah, it might be
sort of transpires.
A little bit difficult for Fury to actually get off of Sosnovka Island as well, because they do have KT looting on the island as well. If they do try to go off of the bridge to the eastern side, Bay is kind of sitting around Milta. They'll run into them more than likely. XS is sitting at the other bridge, so Fury are going to have to be pretty careful with how they rotate off of the military base. Cerberus, however, one of the teams that might not be too disappointed by how this circle shift has occurred. They're into the center of the circle pretty early on in the piece, not copping too much damage just yet, scouting around the place, although most of the premium compounds have already been taken. Divine in one, Astra in another. Cerberus driving right in between them. Maybe Cerberus are thinking about a bit of a breach there onto Divine, but it looks like they've thought better of it. And they'll just elect to set themselves up north a little bit more so than the rest of the teams. For now,
to me, it
but
seems
there'll
like
be more teams
Astra
coming in.
have improved their positioning from PCS1 here into PCS2. Like, they're getting into these circles a bit quicker. They're getting to better positions. And I'm not just talking about this game. And the way they played and positioned themselves for Miramar just seemingly looked like it was an improved version of Astra from the past. So it's again going to happen here for game number 3, provided that the circle doesn't hard shift away from them. And I know we sort of talk about circle luck and circle RNG, for instance, but I mean, I got to go out here and say, bias aside, Astra were one of the unlucky teams in PCS1 that just, it felt like every game the circle just kept shifting away from them. And they were the sort of team that if they just got a little bit of luck, they could have really placed a bit higher. Top 6, top 5, for instance. And I think that's kind of showing right now with better positioning, a little bit more luck. They're quite clearly in the top 6 right now, but it's, you can see how close it is. It's a log jam, that top 6, except for sort of day trade. So it's definitely highlighted right now in the way that they're playing. We'll see if they can keep it up, though, of course, as we look to finish off night number 1 here with our 2 games of Erangel.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to be able to convert that little bit of luck that they've been having so far into a big game. At the moment, 16 points, not too bad, but if they continue to get the circles, as they do right now, obviously here on Erangel as well, they'll be looking for a win. That's what is really the name of the game. I think a win on the board on day 1 sets you off on the right foot. Both Fury and Astra will be quite eager to pick that up. Division X Gaming and Day Trade have already got themselves one. Long K has started well for Division X Gaming as well, and this is the first time that we might actually see X Stadium struggling early, because they have been one of the teams that's really been putting everyone else under pressure early on in the piece, but now finally they lose someone early on.
1 for 1, though. I mean, the thing is, it's more so for X Stadium now. How do you play from here? Because you've had 2 pretty flawless games, Jordan. I mean, everything had been going really well for them on Miramar. Now you come to Erangel, you lose a player on rotation, you're down to 3 for the remainder of the game in what is also this sort of new environment. Of course, they know Erangel inside and out, but they're going to have to probably change things up a little bit. And at times in game 2 of Miramar, we saw like Marcus running away, getting breached. Like they've been in the thick of it probably more than any other team, including Day Trade, over the first 3 games now. So can they respond with just 3, which I think the best way for them to do that, slow things down a little bit. Go for position, find a compound, wait out the next 13 minutes or so, and try and then come out towards the end. You don't need to go and try and find 10 kills before the 20-minute mark.
Yep. Code on the screen as well for those of you who are maybe tabbed out. Want to check that one out. Did you see Fury keeping an eye on the bridge? As I spoke about, they're going to have a difficult time of rotating off safely. They've actually elected at the moment not to go across the eastern bridge. They're going back toward the west. Either way, we'll jump back over to Magic and Cerberus, who have once again run into each other early on in the piece. Basil is stuck in this building on his own. He might have just jumped out the window. Makes a lot of noise. Needs the rotation in from his teammates. Ghoul coming across. Subang there as well. But Basil, well, he didn't jump out of the building. He's still holding strong on the stairs. And that pick from Ghoul is going to just relieve a bit of the pressure. Grenade, though, in hand. Doesn't quite manage to land it.
Oh, Basil, though, from the 2nd floor building gets elimination. Well, knockdown leads onto Salabi. Elimination may follow shortly. Goal from the tree. I'm not sure if anyone's going to find to Salabi to get the revive. Tonke gets one, but goes to run outside the door. Doesn't check his lefts and rights and gets punished. Cerberus say goodnight. They are on the board. 4 kills and subsequently go from 3 to 7 very quickly in the total standings. Much better for the team with high expectations, Jordan.
Yeah, certainly is. They'll get Heisaki back up as well. Cerberus need to convert one of these rounds sooner or later. Seeing where the circle shift does go, it's back up toward the northern side, a little bit more so over Yasnaya than anywhere else. And so Bay, Buriram, KT, and Fury are very, very unhappy seeing that kind of a circle shift. Fury in particular have got a long way to go. You're going to see them rotating over the bridge at the moment.
And it's phase 2, Jordan, right? So phase 3 can very much shift right onto Yasnaya Poliana. As we saw in the last game, Picardo was a factor. Wasn't really the be-end-all that potentially it could have been. Of course, though, Picardo is a lot smaller than Yaz. Divine have been up and down, and really that's probably summarized 2020 for Divine Esports as well, Jordan. They're just always around the middle of the pack, sometimes threatening the top 5, top 6, but just not really being able to probably release their full potential.
I think that's Awakened down on like 1 HP. He's just going to get inside of the compound, and he'll survive for now, but the rest of FTF have kind of gone past him. Defiant keeps on driving forward. He was on 1 HP indeed, so lucky to get away with his life, but will survive. And checking back in with Fury, the team that's on the scenic route. They've still got a long way to go, Xenox. They're only just now going to get past Farm and head past Milta. It's only halfway to the circle. So it's a long drive for them, and they're going to really just have the scraps to pick up as far as the compounds are concerned, if there are any even left for them when they do get into the circle. It's not an easy game here for Fury, nor is it for KT. KT might even run into Buriram if they do continue in this trajectory. You can see them right now at the top of the screen. Day Trade have also rotated in. They've come in from across from Rozok and Schoolside. So it's a bit of a calmer time here on Erangel. But this is what I was alluding to. Buriram have a roadblock. Can they find a pick? Nordra, big spray, hit a lot of shots. God Meow, though, will be the one to get the first kill. The second as well. God Meow's hitting everything at the moment. Nordra not having as much luck, but that is 2 players for KT out of the picture, and Buriram have another couple of points on the board. Nice heads-up play from them.
And it really sort of just highlights the dangers of rotating in late, very, very late. Sometimes you kind of feel like if you are coming in that late, that there's not going to be a team holding around the edge. That might be the case in regional tournaments, but at this level, I mean, you can't just fit all these great teams towards the center of the zone. There are going to be some really, really good teams that have, unfortunately, found themselves out on the edge. I'm sure in the regional tournaments, like Buriram, for instance, is usually playing way more center because they're just good enough that they can get there a lot more easier. Unfortunately for KT, as you mentioned, down to 2 from here on out. We get a glimpse of the map, 15 seconds till phase 3. If it goes north, though, Jordan, that's going to cause a chaotic fireball, potentially, because so many teams are on the southern portion of this phase 2 circle. If it does go south, though, it's going to be a very open field area for the remainder of this game. And while talking of an open field, how about the Yasnaya field? Day Trade are going to get a pretty good feed. Game home with 2-2 split. I've now got to make the decision as well. I think you've got to group up, take the 2 from the city of Yaz, and send them over to the Yellows with the other 2.
Man, Day Trade could really just blast away with everyone in this game and find themselves at an astronomical lead if they can really farm up a storm. Divine's already on the rotate in as we do watch this drop coming on in. You'll see Divine in the back of the screen there. They're trying to move. They're trying to get into a center circle position, but honestly, Xenox, where can you really go? Yes, there's a few defilades to play with here, but they are running through an absolutely ludicrous crossfire. Turtle the first one to go down. I'm surprised they haven't lost more than that, to be honest, Divine, but they run into Victim Rise. Seymour, big spray down. He'll get JN, and I think that might be, in fact, the end of Divine. Just one more player left up, and that's Diane, and he doesn't look like he's having a good time here at all. Seymour not quite landing the shots. It's a bit rough for him. And, oh, no. How has that happened? Diane, he might even actually be able to get a couple more points on the board here, and maybe even the reses. I don't know. Does the rotation come in time here for Victim Rise? No, it doesn't. Grenade does fly through. Oh
my god, how do you lose that? 1 versus 2 now for Diane. Not going to be able to get the revival to JN. Nate did get a heal off. Unfortunately, though, is eliminated. Still, yet almost clutching that one up. Division X Gaming's Long K driving around in the fields of Yasnaya by himself at the moment. So many players on the move, and yet very little real estate actually available. Now that Dacia is going to blow up, but of course, as per the new settings, Jordan, 5 seconds or so until it
Yep.
actually blows up, so you can get a chance to get out of the vehicle. Fury have got a great position, mind you, as well, to the southwest portion of the zone. Kind of similar to the game 2 of Miramar, where they have found themselves with a large open patch of area on the southern end of a circle with a bit of elevation. They can potentially find some kills over the next 10 minutes or so.
Game Home also pretty happy with their position, although they do have Clories at the southern part of Yasnaya. So it's kind of a 3-1 split at the moment, actually, for Game Home. I wonder whether or not Clories will actually be able to rejoin the rest of the team, or just to provide a bit of an overwatch from the Yasnaya apartments. From the future, are going to have to deal with Buriram, who do look like they're quite eager to go for a breach. Good tag onto Teddy immediately. Can actually God Meow and Nordra pulling up. And FTF now aware of Buriram's position. This is not a team that I'd like to go toe-to-toe with.
Especially since they seemingly have found that form, Jordan. They look threatening from game 1 to where they're at now. Look at that circle shift, though. Phase 4. Day trader, daydreaming right now. They are in a perfect position. Looking to back up game number 2 of Miramar. Now over to game 3 of Erangel. Buriram not going to give up on this, and God Meow with a knockdown onto Orkaran from the future. They just can't really get out of this situation, you think. They're in more than just a pickle. They are probably just about moments away from being eliminated. Edie gets the fire, and they cannot escape what's going to happen. It's reckoning here from Buriram onto from the future.
Well, the res has come across, so FTF do still have 3 to defend with. Nandu watching in case anyone tries to rush into the garage. Buriram have decided they're not interested anymore. They've taken the point, they're out of here. Big grenade lands on top of Zoid, mate. That finishes him off. Bay are here with a vengeance. They've been having a struggle so far, and now they're going to try and get rid of Astra, but what is that? Lixie has just killed himself and Extreme, and that's the end of Astra. Oh, dear.
That's astronomical how they've balls that one up. Bay I don't even think they really get the kill points, really, that they were hoping to get out of that situation. 4 kills now for Buriram United, and they've probably got a few more coming up very shortly, although Yoshi Mimburi has just caught Edie off guard. Yoshi Mimburi, time to stand up. The MVP of Thailand, who so far failed to live up to expectations in PCS1. Not really a great start for PCS2, might I add you as well, Jordan. And just going to back away from Edie. Oh, I don't blame him there, considering how well Buriram United are playing right now. Orkaran finally eliminated, but it's Sophia from Bay who finally, after a couple of games, are on the board.
MSC and Buriram are again going to go head-to-head. Orm for Jukesy, if he wants it. Doesn't look like he does. He's going to continue to tap away. Putting in good work is Buriram this game. They have really turned things around from that game 1 poor start. Nordra, seat swap. That's going to be the end of Vega God. And just to add insult to injury, he's going to do it again to finish him off. Buriram are just like a roaming pack of wolves right now, driving around the map, killing everything that they run into. MSC are going to really be relying on one remaining player. Yoshimin Buri, time to slug away in the center of the map and try and get as many placement points out of this game as possible.
We are finding another one onto Today from the future, who down to just Nando. It's taking a surprisingly long time for them to be picked apart. Sophia might yet just find another one here. Got Nordra in the meantime. Bay have done a decent job here of finding some points out on the eastern side of the circle. Nando got way further than I thought he would be able to. Game Home, though, now going to be the beneficiaries of that elimination. 11 teams, 31 alive. And phase 5 coming very, very shortly. Does it stay on day trade? Will they have to move? They've been quite fortunate now for the last couple of circles. Buriram, well, they get a reprieve, a very big one considering they're in the blue right now, but now don't have to move very far. Day trade stay in. Game Home at the yellows still in as well. Fury have got the work cut out for them along with X Stadium.
Yeah, I think Buriram can even play the other side of that road. I'm not sure that they even have to cross at the moment. I'm pretty sure there's a nice defilade for them there if they want it. Day Trade also don't have to move, though, so they'll be feeling pretty happy. Archangel Predator are the ones that are going to struggle the most. They've got a lot of open ground to cover. And yeah, there is that defilade that I'm talking about here for Buriram. But while it's going to be good for this circle, it's not going to last too long. Fury also will have to move in from their position. And the real estate is looking quite occupied. It's like living in Sydney, Xenox. Fury don't really have too many places that they can move into. Both of these bowls covered. Division X Gaming have got one, XS another. Where does Fury go? There's a little bit of a hill in front of Ronan and Jukesy here, but it looks like they might go over it. If they commit, they're going to run right into Victim Rise. It's a breach, Xenox. Jukesy, has he run someone over? Not quite. Don't think he's managed that, and it's going to be inside.
I think he went over him.
A one-for-one trade. Jukesy's knocked down. Gen Foss survives for Victim Rise. How many more can he get?
Cal got one. Insight's knocked down, though. Can Cal salvage the situation? No, cannot. Unfortunately, Ronan is now the last one alive for Fury. Long K seeing this burnt out Darcia, though, up against Marcus from X Stadium. Long K's been the last one alive for Division X for a while. Oh, what a nade! He gets them both 3 kills for Division X. The solo Jordan, the one who's been the solo since practically almost the start of the game with a huge double nade. As Archangel Predator now make their push towards the Wizard Tower of Day Trade Gaming. If they're not going to come out of it, they're going to try and force them out.
Well, there's no other options really for Archangel Predator. A great pick though onto Venotica. That cancels the crossfire. Very smart. They know that someone could be hiding inside of that blue crate. They pre-nade it, and now Archangel Predator have an easier time of making it into this Wizzy, but it's not going to be an easy time at all, is it? Carbs having been knocked down. They're using the smokes for cover. CJ starting to push forward alongside Killer. And they'll look to try and at least confirm that kill that they did get onto the player inside of the crate. That's Venotica finished off for CJ. Killer is knocked by the molly, though. And Day Trade are getting as much as they're giving here. CJ might just burn alive. He does survive inside of that smoke, but feels like a bit of a band-aid situation here for him.
It's definitely been a better performance, though, from a couple of the teams that we mentioned sort of coming into this game. Cerberus, Bay, have both picked things up. Now, unfortunately, though, for MSC, it's only Yoshimanburi who remains. Does get a complete circle feed down to the south. So does Jukesy and Ronan. In fact, Jukesy got revived. Didn't even see that. In fact, is there 3 under there?
I thought it was only actually Ronan, to be honest. But yeah, it looks like Jukesy's up as well. Yeah, I think
I'm pretty certain there's 3. Yeah, there is. How did they manage that?
Oh, no, there's only 2. You're trolling me.
There's only 2.
Yeah.
I swear it looked like there was 3.
No, I saw what you were seeing as well. It was
right,
like a little arrow.
Yeah. Okay,
But,
cool. At least I'm not that crazy.
There is only 2 players alive. You can see it on the scoreboard on the left. Fury only has 2, but 2 is better than 1. And I did think there was only 1 that was going to survive, but it looks like the res has come across, so that's good news for Fury. And they're in a pretty good spot, all things considered. Buriram have absolutely sent it right at game home, and that's not worked out too well for them. Sylphie does get God Me out. Canaxi's very low on HP. This grenade isn't going to finish him off, but it's going to do a number to God Meow, who actually does end up dying to a shot from Neferhor.
Bay again, though. I just say it. They have just racked up kill after kill, stealing a majority of them from third-party position because they've got the entire south end of this zone to themselves. No one is contesting them. Flood now in the kill feed. 10 kills for Battle Arena Elites. Glorious, though, with a nice knockdown onto Canaxi. Still 1 left. It's easy to deal with. Buriram have been good. Haven't been as great as the Miramar games, but they're still alive. 7 kills now. I'll take it back if he can get a second one. Oh, Edie gets God New. Sylphie and something else are the last 2 up for Game Home Esports, looking for the first aid kit, pushing closely into 1 versus 2, can get the quick transfer as well. They're so close to each other. Gets 1, couldn't get the second. You're seriously almost... Oh, the car blows up, though. What's going on here in APAC? Game Home have been sent home.
That's unbelievable. Oh, dearie me. Well, Buriram, they get that little bit of a laugh at the end. Day Trade Gaming have 2 players left alive. They're keeping an eye on things, and they've recognized, well, there's no one in the yellows anymore. I wonder why. Fury trying not to make too much of a ruckus, but they're still involved in the mix, and MSC sitting center circle. But really, Xenox, this is Bay's game to lose. All 4 players alive. They control the entire southern part of the map, and they are fragging out. Division X fall to Flood, 6th place for them.
Long K eliminated. We're down to 5 teams remaining. Bay have got 4 up. Everyone else, Jordan, though, is completely wounded. 1 or 2 players alive. Norin's knocked. Loki's. It's Bay's game. Mentioned that they needed to turn things around. They have now done so. 11 kills currently. How many more can they get? They send us to the top 4. Fury, Daytrade, Bay, and the solo of Yoshi Minburi for MSC Teraton.
Nurin's finished off. Bay will certainly be looking to get rid of Daytrade as early as possible here. Fury thinking much the same. MSC, not too much of a concern. They're quite far down on the scoreboard, but any extra point that Daytrade gets is going to put them further and further ahead of the rest of the pack. So they'd rather be seeing MSC picking up most of the points. In fact, everyone here, apart from Daytrade, really wants to see Daytrade losing. They want to see Daytrade out in 4th. They do only have the 1 player. They've also got really the worst position as well. So Flash, I dare say, is going to have a difficult time of getting into the circle alive here. He's going to make his run. Let's see what he can manage. At the very least, there is a bit of hard cover for him to play with. But he's essentially banking on the fact that maybe Flood or Sophia doesn't actually spot him.
It does feel like, though, Flash has got more to sort of try and gain here. You deny 1 point, but then you give everyone else the placement points. Or you stay alive and hope someone else gets knocked out before you, and you then gain placement points and further increase the gap of your first place position. Fortunately, though, for Daytrade, Biram Division X out of the game. Fury, though, are very close to being able to secure 2nd place after 3 games, and Bay have skyrocketed from the bottom 4. What was that from Yoshi Minburi? He shot more of the hay bale than he did Sophia. In fact, Sophia didn't take any damage. The hay bales have got some hitboxes there, Jordan. 14 kills now for Bay, and they're quite literally just sweeping the fields and cleaning up here for game 3.
There's no fear at all here for Sophia. Just pushing forward. Must know roughly the position of Flash, because Bay did actually spot him out a little bit earlier on the piece, so expecting him to be just hiding somewhere on this ridge. And good comms, good awareness there from Sophia, and great stuff so far from Daytrade. They do manage to still secure, obviously, 1st place after this game. I don't think we're going to see Fury overtake them off of this, but Bay are the ones that are putting in the good work. Let's see whether or not Fury can spoil the party, but look at this crossfire from Bay. It's just not
from
possible.
here. High ground, as you said, the crossfire, the numbers, everything says Bay wins this game, and they've thoroughly deserved it. Ronan needs to get an early knockdown onto Sophia, or at the very least send him back. Has Jukesy in a good position to get that done. Loki's got to land these shots, my friend, please! Land these shots! Are you serious? That could seriously backfire. Jukesy now has been able to heal up. This now means Ronan can also heal up, and it's a 2 versus 3. Surely Bay haven't just lost it from there. Fortunately, Neferhor going for the revival of Sophia, so they are going to be able to get back to 4 up. Flood, super far back, has a slightly high elevation. The Loki's, you've got to hit those shots. Ronan gets knocked down. Neferhor saving the day, gets the revive, then the knock and says, we're not losing this one. We are not losing this one, says Neferhor. 17 kill win. Battle Arena Elites are on the board with their first chicken dinner at the PUBG Continental Series.
Yeah, it's a little bit more like it for Bay. That was exactly what we've been waiting for. Thought they really did start quite slow, and to be fair, they did start slow, but when you bounce back with something like that, you're not going to be too disappointed with how your day is going. They're right back up into 4th place, a 17-kill win, and that's just how hard the swings can be on day 1 when there isn't this massive amount of points already on the board. A single win obviously has such a big impact. So nice to see Bay getting back onto the winner's circle and right back up into the discussion zones.
Oh, without a doubt. And it's not too surprising, right? You know, when we were sort of talking about the teams that were down the bottom, it was because we were surprised that they were down the bottom. And Bay was one of those teams, along with the likes of Cerberus, MSC Teraton, for instance. And Cerberus certainly picked things up a little bit. They've sort of got a platform that they can potentially build off of from now. A bit of a footing here for PCS2. Bay just went straight through the roof. skyrocketing into the top 5 of the leaderboards after 3 games. Chicken dinner, how about that? 17 kills as well. And really, if there's a game that is going to personify APAC as a region, that one was it.
Yeah, certainly. Another team that deserves a shout out, though, is Fury. Again, another top 5 placing from them. And so far today, they are the only team to have gotten a top 5 placing in every single match. So this time they placed second with 4 kills. And it's fairly consistent with what we've actually seen from Fury back in Charity Showdown and PCS1, where they don't really have those big games. They don't have the wins that we used to see from back in the day in ANZ Champs, but they are a bastion of consistency, and they almost always seem to get placement points out of any given game. So that's good to see, but I am waiting to see that conversion from Fury. Still quite a ways behind Day Trade. Just, again, Day Trade are also showing a fairly reasonable amount of consistency. A first and a third today. There's definitely a few teams that are starting to really make their statement, make their mark on the PCS2 standings, and those are, of course, Day Trade and Fury, but also Buriram, who have now had a couple of pretty good matches in a row. Again, a very, very high kill game from Buriram there in round number 3. Division X have been okay, but haven't really set the world on fire after that initial win. And Bay also is kind of in that same category as Division X. They've had one really good game and a couple of kind of okay/average games. So if either Bay or Division X can get another really good game on the board, then they'll definitely be moving up in the world as well. But top 5 is looking like they're starting to actually build a bit of a gap then on the rest of the competition from here on out.
Yeah. I was actually about to bring that up. You kind of just beat me to the punch there, Jordan, but you're right. The current top 5, as we just look at the match leaderboard from Game 3, but the top 5, which is Day Trade, Fury, Buriram, Bay, Division X, yeah, you're right. There's a little bit of a gap for me, and teams just outside of that, X Stadium, Astra, KT, what do they all have in common? Great first 2 games, really dropping the ball on Erangel, though. So it goes to show you just how quickly things can change in the early goings of these tournaments, provided, though, of course, you don't have 1 or 2 teams sort of just running away with it. Now, Day Trade have kind of had another decent game here. 9 points, as you can see, 5 placement, 4 kill points. They're going to have a bit of separation from second, but everyone else below them, it's really anyone's game. Massive performance from Battle Arena Elites. They go from 1 point after 2 games to now 28. What a turnaround.
Yeah, normally you're happy to say, oh, well, we doubled our points or something like that. I don't know what the math is there, Xenox, but they've done a lot in 1 game, Bay, and that's what you can do in day number 1. But obviously, consistency is going to be key for them. You can't just have one 17-kill win here or there. They're going to need to do that more often than not.
Just to sort of touch on that point, and you can sort of tail off it a little bit more, but Fury are the sort of definition of consistency right now. 5th, 3rd, 2nd kills, 5th, 6th, 4th, right? So kind of what's around them are Division X, 1 big game, Bay, one big game, Day Trade, 1 big game. Then you got Fury having really good games consistently. As soon as Fury get a really big game, that could be the difference maker between them taking first place.
Yep, absolutely. You're taking a look at the top 5 damage charts for that last game. It's not a huge surprise to see a couple of Bay players in there. Sophia, superstar for the roster, tops the charts, and Flood in there as well, doing a bit of the Aussie representation. Buriram, though, not surprising to see them up in the top 5 here again. They really fragged out in that last game, and I got to say, I think, to be honest, Buriram to me is kind of looking like the scariest team at the moment. I know Day Trade's at the top of the standings. Fury's been really consistent. Bay had that big game, but I've seen 2 really, really good sort of heavy fragging games from Buriram, and they haven't honestly gotten really much of a circle feed in either of those games either. So as soon as Buriram starts getting a little bit of that circle luck, and if they can continue to frag out the way that they are at the moment, I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, Xenox.
I think the biggest thing that stands out to me the most here on the left-hand side of the leaderboard is X Stadium. 2 placement points, Jordan, after 3 games. That's not going to get you much success here for PCS2. They've got to really work on that. Try and stay alive. You're getting a lot of kills, a lot of them really early on in these matches, but you can't just rely on that.
Yeah, but
placement
even,
points is going to be huge for them.
even look at Buriram. They've only got 7 placement points, 21 kills. You compare that to Fury, who's got 14 placement points, 15 kills. And this is kind of what I'm trying to talk about. Like, if Buriram can actually survive as late into the game as some of the other teams that are up towards the top end of the standings, they're actually going to be the team that's probably going to be able to convert those kills even more so, because they're just being able to have more fights. They're going to be staying in the game and fighting a lot longer. So, look, I think Buriram, you know, like I said, are looking like a pretty scary prospect for me. And again, it's just going to be a case of whether or not they're going to be able to stick themselves up there into the top end of the placements, and then whether they're able to convert the kills as a result of that.
Well, fortunately, still a lot of games to be played over the next 3 weeks. We've got one more game, though, to be played for tonight. It's going to be on the other side of the break. Well, 3 chicken dinners have been dished out so far. 1 more still in the oven. We've got our final game of Erangel coming up very, very shortly. So far, though, Jordan, 3 different winners, yet we do find ourselves with a clear leader after 3 games.
Yeah, that would be Day Trade Gaming, and they're off to a pretty good start, a pretty reasonable start. It's nothing to compare necessarily yet to what we saw from Q Confirm on day 1 of last season. Q Confirm 2 wins on day 1, and I think a 3rd place as well, if I'm not incorrect. So they really just streamed out ahead of everyone else. But Day Trade is reasonably far ahead of the likes of Fury and Buriram, but it's not so far that, 1 or 2 distant games from those 2 teams is going to not be able to overhaul. So, look, Day Trade at the moment are wanting to, going into this 4th game, really just consolidate their position, get themselves another, top 5 finish. That's probably all they need to stick around in 1st place at the end of today. But similarly, you've also got that storyline for Buriram, for Fury, for Bay, for Division X, who are all sitting on 28 or 29 points each to go into this final game and maybe overtake Day Trade if they can get off to, a nice win or something like that.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to sit here rooting against Day Trade Gaming. I would like to see some competition, though, this time around, because PCS1, of course, was basically the Q Confirm show. Yet, though, in saying that, what's fair is fair. If Day Trade just keep playing like the way they've been playing, they can amass a decent lead to close out what is night number 1. Final game coming up now. Erangel, can Day Trade extend their lead, or can teams below them, probably the top 5, catch up?
Well, that is the major question, isn't it? We'll see how things do pan on out, whether or not we'll get another circle similar to the last. Bit of an interesting one, that last one was, and as you so kindly mentioned at the start of the last map, we're more than likely going to see something over the Gatka fields. That's what we tend to see a lot more of than anything else on Erangel. This time we'll keep an eye on Bay as they land in Milta. They've got some friends there as well in Victim Rise who are actually quite a bit closer to Flood than he might have liked. Genfoss is sticking around. Loki's has to ditch the DAS here and look for a gun here. This is a bit awkward for Bay.
Seen them in this sort of actual position before when they were in the Malaysia Quals. It worked out well for them. As we get our final circle for the night here for our 2nd game of Erangel. Of course, this is match 4 of 4. For those who have only maybe just tuned in or not quite sure, it's only the 4 games per night, but we do go for 3 weeks. So technically, it is more games, and that's really all that matters. Of course, PCS1 was only 20 games. This time it's 24 games. So more PUBG, always a good thing.
Don't disagree with you at all. Genfoss is keeping an eye on Loki's. This is actually going to be quite an important fight for Bay. They have had 1 good game so far tonight, but aside from that, they've struggled. Victim Rise, down in 11th place, could definitely play spoiler to this late resurgence that Bay has had on day 1. Not really sure why they're so eager to engage this early on in the piece. I don't think Flood has even found a gun. You can see him running around with a backpack only, I'm pretty sure. Look at him. He doesn't have a gun. He's just got a
stealth
backpack.
operation.
Wait, he doesn't even have a backpack. That's just his shirt. He's got nothing. Poor Flood.
Well, I mean, is the backpack even going to make a difference? What is it going to do? Throw it at them?
Maybe. Suffocate them with the backpack.
Oh, God.
But yeah, that's really awkward actually for Bay because, well, Flood still doesn't have anything.
Nothing.
So he's essentially useless unless he runs up and punches someone.
Well, the onus is not on Flood here. It's actually on Sophia to get involved and for also Nefahor to make his way over. Because you can't just be sitting around. I mean, I know you want to loot. This is the looting phase. But right now, Loki's only has so much ammunition. If he gets pushed by all 4, he's not going to be able to cover Flood single-handedly. He needs Sophia to help out. He needs Nefahor. But then sort of like, do you want to throw bodies at this just to try and get Flood out? I mean, this is the problem. This is the predicament, Jordan. Do you...
I think, yeah, they've just got to book it. They've just got to book it and somehow, I don't know, wrap underneath the bridge or something like that, get around to farm.
Go to Sophia.
Yeah, go to Sophia or something. But even then, Buriram's kind of hanging around near Milta as well. So if they get wind of this, if they hear a bit of an engagement going on, you can bet your bottom dollar that they'll be looking for a 3rd party. Looks like Bay have negotiated the dangerous territory, although
Oh,
low-key,
he just jinxed him.
yeah, he really went up on the high ground there. That might have been a bit of an oopsie from him, to be honest, because he could have stayed down on the low ground where Flood was, and he would have been fine. But now that he's been knocked down, Flood's continued to book it. There's nothing that he can do about it, but Sophia now has to get that res, and in the meanwhile, VTR are getting aggressive.
Smart play, though. I mean, Flood just keep running, go find a gun. Sophia will take care of Loki's. Neferhall watching from the southwest portion of this. They are inside of the circle, mind you, so it's not as if it's like a Gaka Fields and they're going to leave now. They've got time, a lot of time. They can loot late because of the way the circle is positioned for phase 1. So
Yeah,
it's really not the end of the world here for Bay. In fact, the fact that they got all 4 up, I'm sure by now Flood has found a gun. He's been looting around Milta for a bit of time here.
yeah, he had an M4 in hand, I just saw, or M16 maybe. Seymour is quite close to these guys that are running past him. So at least for now, Victim Rise do have a good understanding of where Bay is. Neferhor also very isolated. You have to remember that. If an engagement does occur, it'll be a 4-on-3 favoring Victim Rise.
Yeah, that's correct. Neferhall's not really close to this situation. Although, that can make it a 3-on-3, provided that Loki's can get the flush, which really shouldn't be all that difficult and does. So, Bay have performed the great escape right now, Jordan. They are the masters of this situation. And now they can handle the 3v3 and then eventually get a bit of help as well from Neferhall if he makes his way in. 4 versus 3. What's happening elsewhere, though, I mean, we haven't really been able to see it, but just sort of what I can see on the map is a lot of teams really close to this situation. Just up north, Buriram, like you mentioned, holding around Lumber Mill. Close by towards Prison, you've got Astra, Diviner around, Fury coming in now through Sosnovka Island, so they will actually be coming in close by to this situation happening over towards Milta. Yep. But there is a large congestion just north of Milta happening.
I am quite interested to see what happens if Fury starts copping a few bullets here. Do they just send it past Milta? Neferhor's kind of on the rotate, trying to get himself an angle maybe onto VTR. Fury will end up very, very close to Bay and VTR. Now Buriram are involved as well. Like I said, Buriram's pretty close by. Bay can't really be resting on their laurels at the moment. This is not a fun spot for them to be in. They'll really be feeling a bit hard done by here at the start because they were quite happy to farm Milta last game, but they haven't been given the opportunity to do that now. And so they've got Buriram headed in their direction. Fury might actually help Bay out here, to be honest, if they do get in behind Victim Rise. This is just a mess in Milta. How many teams are contesting this area of the map this early on in the piece? It's unbelievable.
Well, it's not a surprise to see Fury sort of rocking up here. They would have potentially expected Milta to be vacated as well.
Yeah.
Not knowing that there's sort of been a standoff happening here. That's not it from Ronan. Was already sort of turning into the shots of Kamal's. And 3 up for Fury. Can they at least escape with all 3? Yeah, it looks like they will. Very unfortunate that they are going to lose one there. Neferhall now also taking a few shots on the other side of the road here at Milta. It's going to go for the very ambitious spray. It did land a few shots, though. Very wounded Waikikamukawa in insight. Fury do escape, but for the team that's been very consistent, out of 3 games, the final game of the night may be their detrimental one.
Nordra has eyes on Fury as well. Would have seen them rotating into the building below him. Buriram have that intel at least. He's on the move in his buggy. Keeping an eye on the rest of the teams, though, as we check out this care package. Has a Groza in it. Nothing too special. MSC, once again, have a long rotate. They are the team that drops over on the the western side of the map, and so they're still sort of sitting in the blue. Day Trade alongside them. Flash is the furthest behind the rest of his team. And that's Rosito Jr. out in front of him. Actually, MSC is still behind Flash. So this is an interesting position to be in.
Thought they were playing chicken for a second there, Jordan.
Who won?
Well, neither of them. They kind of both backed out of that one. MSC, though, I mean, this has sort of been a trend now with 4 games that they just don't find those good positions early on. And I guess maybe it's a reason why they have been quite lackluster so far. Was better? Oh, wow. Was better in game 3. Look at that circle, though. That's definitely going to help out MSC and Daytrade.
Yep. They were praying for something like that. Their prayers are answered. Cerberus also kind of struggling for a good game so far today. Have been gifted a bit of an easier circle to play with. They're already in the center here. Can they convert this one into something special and put themselves back up into that top 5, top 6 kind of a discussion? Buriram won't have to move just yet. And they might actually fancy their chances here because they have been fragging.
Cerberus would sort of complete the quadrant of teams having one big game, wouldn't they, right? The first 3 games, because the winners have typically not been amazing in the other games played. So if Cerberus can capitalize here, it would sort of complete the night for the theme that it has been, which is 3 kind of average games and 1 massive game.
Except for Fury. Fury have been that consistent force that have been able to just stick around, really. And they might be doing just that again. They've worked themselves into farm. There's no one occupying this position just yet. So the 3 remaining Fury players will be quite happy to move in. Divine just above them to the north. Also looks like they'll be quite happy to lock themselves down. To be honest, it seems like most teams are quite happy with their position. I mean, we're probably not going to be seeing too much action, actually, for this phase, at least until the next one starts to push in. The only team really still yet to kind of get into the circle are X Stadium, who are coming from Sosnovka Island and rotating past Ferry Pier at the moment. And Archangel Predator, who are moving out of Yasnaya and look to cross probably the Rozhok Bridge. Everyone else is already in the circle, already got themselves a good spot. FTF has an eye on Astra. And the shots do start to come across from Teddy. Looks like Zoidmate will be okay. He just goes prone looking for some heals. He'll drop his smokes down as well. Maybe he won't be okay. Maybe I've spoken too soon. Steps back up. And Teddy puts him to bed.
Can Lynxie salvage this? I don't think so. Orcaron has now arrived for FTF along with Nando as well. Streaming in though through the minimap is Extreme. Along with Nikos as well, looking to get Zoid back up. They're going to turn this into a full-fledged fight, and I don't blame them either. Wanting to try and keep Zoid in at the nades, though, surely you're going to finish him off. I think that's going to be the IGL of Astra eliminated early, and now, unfortunately, not even able to escape. They've lost Extreme. They're going to lose Nikos as well, surely, on 1 HP. Division X, though, Sapow just watching on from a distance, will land a tag, keep them honest as Nikos is finally eliminated. And from the future, have just decimated the OCA team of Astra. And quite frankly, Jordan, while they started games 1 and 2 in a great fashion, have really dropped the ball here in, basically on Erangel.
Yeah, I think that's actually 0 points so far for them out of Erangel, if I can remember correctly what they came into it on. There's still an opportunity maybe for Lynxie to get something done here, but it's not been too crash hot, unfortunately, for Astra. They've really struggled on Erangel. Still, we'll keep an eye on what Lynxie can do. Maybe a heroic performance. Cerberus, again, happy to cop another bit of a feed. Fury as well. Down in farm, will not be too disappointed with the way that this circle has shifted. Division X Gaming having to rotate in from the north. We'll have to go up and over the hill. And they might run into MSC, who, to be honest, have been struggling so far, but maybe this is their game. A lot of teams going to want to rotate past them. Updated champion predictions as well, by the way, and it's got Buriram now at 28%. Fury have dropped down to 3rd place in this prediction. Daytrade only at 22%, so it's giving a bit of an extra weighting to some of the previous results you can imagine here. Buriram, 2nd place there in PCS2. Daytrade, nowhere to be seen in PCS2. Well, they did play, PCS1 I should say, is what I'm referring to. Daytrade did play in PCS1, but they only achieved an 8th. So I think that's why it's giving Buriram the benefit of the doubt here alongside Fury as well. They're getting a bit of a prop from their good result in PCS1. But Daytrade are playing well today, and there might be some more points on offer. Marcus has been knocked down.
I think by this point for PCS1, it was something like a 50% win prediction for Q confirmed. So It's a bit better in terms of the evenness here for PCS2. Bay, by the way, Jordan just going to point it out, now fully confirmed that second place for themselves right now. Have jumped up from, I think they were in 5th position starting this game, now into 2nd. It is so congested though in that top 5, and the top 5 has well and truly formed by the end of the night. Archangel, Predators, CJ, along with Carbs, just very, very close by to Heisaki, who's able to get away. 1 more minute till phase number 4. Fury still kind of situate themselves just on the outskirts of farm, and well, that's going to be Defiant turned into a pancake.
Not sure how good that pancake would taste, Xenox, but either way, KT get their reses off, and they'll be feeling safe and comfortable inside of this defilade. Rejoined by Style as well. All 4 players here now. They do need to be a little bit aware of FTF actually to the north. That's kind of behind the camera. This is what I'm talking about. Nandu, if he pushes his way up above this ridge, he's going to be able to spot KT down in that defilade. Their position isn't looking too crash hot if that does eventuate. For now, again, it's a fairly slow progression in the final round of tonight. A lot of cover for all the teams, lots of compounds to play with. This is one of the hillier parts of the map, so you're unlikely to see those long-range snipe battles. So it's quite a little bit more difficult to get those early picks. We see the circle shift. It's gone a little bit more so to the south than anything else, but mostly central here. And so, again, it's the same old story. Cerberus, Fury, Happy, Archangel, Predator have rotated themselves into a nice position there as well. They were outside the circle for a long time. They came all the way in from Yasnaya.
Cal knocked down. Should be able to salvage this, surely. No, never mind. Cerberus just going to find an angle onto this as well. So Cal's going to be eliminated down to just 2 members left for Fury. The OCE team is really struggling the most here out of everyone in this final game of the night. Division X game is just going to roll up like Autobots onto Cerberus. Bit of a tilt there. Up on 2 wheels and now just on all 4 because Long K and MBK crawling around, now dead. Cerberus really punishing Division X Gaming there on the rotation.
Dodging cars.
Sideswiped by the Darcy with no one actually driving it. Dudesy, can he find a knock? No. Even if he had found the knock, I think Zapao would have just crawled in and got revived anyway.
More likely than not. Take a look, though, towards the northern side of the map. It's KT rotating past FTF. They're also kind of close to Buriram, but Buriram's not involved in that engagement. Linksy has been found by X Stadium. KT get past the... It was really like a death run almost. Massive crossfire that they went through, but they don't lose anyone. Oh, I suppose that's one way of parking your car.
He's landed it. I mean, he's stunned the theatrics, but pulled it off. MSC Theraton, though, Jordan. This sort of feels like it's a bit more serious up here because they've got to start winning these sort of fights. You lose this and you all but confirm yourselves in the bottom 4 after night 1. It's not how you would want to be starting as... I mean, I don't even know if I can actually call them one of the favorites anymore because it's going to be their second PCS tournament that they really haven't shown up. Rossiter Jr., though, with a nice knockdown. They've had a second one as well onto Boshi. So Magic Esports have lost 2. Salabi, Amuma, last 2 remaining. Game Home, though, are watching and firing something else. We'll get the knockdown onto Rossiter Jr.
Well, there's always a bigger fish, isn't there? MSC thought they were on for a good thing. They were doing a lot of damage. But they suffer a loss of their own. Boss Shi will be finished off here by Yanku, and maybe even one more. Salabi will be finished, and there we go. There goes Magic Esports out in 15th place. That was fairly routine, really, for MSC. But they are now being third party by Game Home Esports. They've chosen the right timing to make this push, and it might be, again, another early exit for MSC.
Yeah. It's becoming all but routine now. Vega God's kind of by himself right now because Yanku a bit further away. You can actually see in the distance and getting knocked and pressured as well by Cerberus Ghoul with that one. It means that Vega God last one alive for MSC and very much will cement them in the bottom 4 if he cannot find any more points.
Bay down to the southern part of the map. We'll be hoping to see this circle shift south. So will quite a few teams, because it's not going to be too fun trying to run up the hill. In fact, we go over to the east. Not too bad for Fury. Continues to be quite a nice circle shift for them. And finally, Day Trade will have to move. KT, who made that real crazy rotation through the middle of the map, have actually been rewarded for it with a good placing there in farm. A lot of teams having to move now. And Day Trade is one of them. They've got X Stadium in front of them. There is a knockdown, so Day Trade maybe not feeling too uncomfortable at the moment. They're certainly not under any pressure.
Imagine a Bay versus Day Trade fight, though, down South Jordan. That just could have massive ramifications in terms of the top placing by the end of the night. If Bay can win that fight against Day Trade, could very well take top spot. Turtle, nade onto Edie. Divine versus Burial Ram. That is just explosion after explosion. 3 are down, 3 are eliminated, and Canaxi's on the run. Burial Ram just squashed like bugs. Down to just 1 player remaining. They're not going to gain much from this game. Apparently, Day Trade, Venotica just wiped out X Stadium single-handedly. Picks up a 3K. While that was happening, also MSC Theraton are eliminated. And just there is the remnants. Uh-oh. As Canaxi goes for the seat swap. Doesn't work out well. And we've just lost about 10 players in 30 seconds.
Well, that's how it goes. Slow start to the game. Crazy, chaotic rotates when we start to get into the later phases. Game Home still possess 4 players in the back pocket. Ghoul from Cerberus. Under a lot of pressure right now and is spotted out. So that's Cerberus gone as well. Another team out of the picture. And only 9 remaining. Archangel Predator being one of them. Division X another. But surely Division X isn't going to be lasting too much longer. Fergus burns alive. It's a great molly from CJ. Now he's lining up a grenade. Cooks it well. I think he might have got this one. Perfect. And he did. But Tapau gets inside of the hut at the right time. He is not having a good time, though. That is for sure.
These nades, though, are also clearing the barricade of vehicles. Not only that, but then forces one to blow up. 8 teams remain. We are down to the placement points for our final game of the night. Day Trade running around the southwest. Almost as if they've got the license to kill right now. 4 kills. Battle Arena Elites have also got 4 as well. Really just want to see these 2 teams collide. Carbs, though, gets Norins, and Day Trade are going to lose a player here, which does give Bay an advantage moving forward if these 2 teams end up fighting. Nice knockdown, though, from Venotica, the star player of Day Trade. And right now, probably for night 1, Jordan, the MVP.
Day Trade certainly putting in some good work so far today. And it looks like they'll probably be able to confirm a first place at the end of the day. Bay still alive, Fury still alive, though, so I don't want to speak too soon. They can catch up, but the scoreboard certainly favoring Day Trade at the moment. Maybe not so much this game, though. Smokes are there for Poochills. He's actually standing on his UAZ and peeking over the top of them. Divine will be on the move. The thing is about this final circle, and you can see it right here on this shot, there really isn't a whole lot of card cover. There's a lot of defilades, a lot of ridges to play with, but not too many buildings. Fury in the Wizzy in the center of this circle. Probably the ones that have the best cover. Day Trade still yet to make their move, but they're going to have to soon. So is Bay, who are all in one Dacia, with the exception of Flood, watching that Wizard Tower that Fury are holding.
Oh,
here comes the breach.
Well, we've seen this usually go one of 2 ways, either very badly or very good. Right now, it's not so bad because no one's been eliminated. In fact, Loki's just gets straight in onto the bottom floor, takes out Insight. Juxie's the last one up onto the top floor. I do need to somehow get Flood back, though, so that means Sophia has to get back into the Dacia and go and pick up that little cutie and try and bring him over to the Wizzy Tower as well. Killer has apparently just blown himself up with the nade as Day Trade need to get the revival to flash. Poochills is going to try and attempt that one, although going back for Flood is not going to be good because Juxie gets free reign, has been molotoved by Nefahor. Should be able to get off a first aid kit and avoid taking any more damage unless a nade has also been thrown up there. There was, but it's not going to get any damage. Sophia did make it back out alive. They did lose Flood.
Yeah, Juxie is more than happy to just stay up here in the top part of the Wizard Tower and Battle Arena Elites. Well, they're trying to get him out of there, but to be quite honest, I think they should just be happy with the position that they've got. Day Trade are suffering some losses. Flash is the last alive for their team. And they're being pushed right now by Game Home Esports, who are coming down off of the ridge. Some shots coming through from Divine, but that'll be the end of Day Trade. Marks a good day, though, for them. 49 points on the board. See whether or not Bay or Fury can overtake them, but it's going to be quite unlikely, I dare say. Another grenade goes through from Loki's, but it's going to be quite difficult, I think, to get rid of Jukes. He's fairly entrenched in this position, and they really should just be happy to share at this point.
Well, they're using a lot of utility. Fortunately for Bay and well, in this case, even for Fury, that Day Trade are out, so anything from here is a massive bonus. Fury have been able to at least stay alive, only the one kill. But they will have to move from this Wizard Tower. So will Bay, for that matter, too. Divine, well, they're going to be the happy players for this particular game in terms of the circle feed. Loki's finds kill number 6 for Battle Arena Elites.
This might be a nice bounce-back game for Divine. They've been doing okay so far today, but they haven't really had too much luck. Sitting there in 6th place, though, 23 points, and could convert this one into a win, which will put them right back up into the top 5. KT could well play spoiler to that, though. They've got 4 players alive, and they're going to have to make a move now. They're headed directly towards Divine. Again, there's not that much cover in front of them, though, so this is going to be a tough run. Same for Game Home. Once they come off of this hill, once they're outside of that foliage, they're going to be running through the open, so it's going to be a battle of who's got more smokes available right now. And for Fury and for Bay, he who moves first probably dies.
6 kills for Game Home. Another okay performance from them as well. Really, like when you look at the leaderboards, Jordan, 6, 7, and 8, Divine, Kaiser Tuna, Game Home, none of them have been a massive standouts, but they're just kind of, you know, chugging along here. And going into tomorrow night, if they can find themselves with a couple of big games, well, they're right in the chances of finding a way into the top 5. That still could be the case here in this particular game too, with Division X, Biram, both out. Divine, KT, Game Home have got an opportunity. I don't think Game Home's going to get much further from this position, being watched quite extensively from Battle Arena Elites, because Jukesy is still right above them, and all 3 of those players will have to eventually leave that position.
Well, eventually is going to be a little bit sooner rather than later. You can see that blue zone is starting to encroach on Bay. Loki's and Nephahor are going to move first. Jukesy happy to tank the blue for a moment. Might even have to give up his life here without giving away a point. Either that or he tries to go for the hero play and get a couple more points away from Bay. In the end, Jukesy will elect to just go down to the blue. No more points given over from Fury. That'll give them another 5th place for tonight, so they've locked themselves in for 5th place or better finishes for day 1. You won't complain about that at all.
No, not at all. 33 points from the first night from 4 games is a pretty good return. Only Bay and Day Trade right now have done better, although of course Divine and KT are trying to do better here. Bot Bass Nez are both knocked down. Loki's. Bay right now, though, of course, still with only 2 players. Can they find a way into the circle? And if they can find a few more kills plus the win, they will end night 1 in first place. Divine, though, of course, are going to try and say otherwise, and they've got the 4 players to be able to achieve that quite comfortably. It's definitely Divine's game to lose from here on out. It's a question of how many kills can Battle Arena Elite, though, achieve before they eventually get eliminated. Loki's gets one onto Masate. Does get eliminated, though, by JN, so he gets stolen away from Loki's. Doesn't get what he really deserved. Divine, in the end, just get all of them. All 3 out of 4. Kaiser Tuna blow up, and they are gone. Divine move into the top 4, and now a 2 versus 4 can take place. This is probably bad news, though, for Bay. They probably would have wanted Kaiser Tuna to inflict a bit of damage over to Divine before really parting ways.
Well, they surely would.
13 kills for Divine, a potential to get a 15 kill win, and it does continue the trend, Jordan, really wholeheartedly.
If Bay can win this 2-on-4, though, they can go equal first for today. I know that's a bit of a difficult task. Stranger things have happened. Levi's on the flank, though, just deletes Loki's from the game. It's just Neferhor now alive. The grenades are being thrown in. And Neferhor, I don't know that he's going to be able to do this one.
It would take a lot, but it's Divine's game. 15 kills to end. Night number 1. Divine Esports with 25 points. They left it to the last second, like many of us do with our homework, Jordan. But in the end, it's an A+ from Divine Esports, and they really are here to try and contend for PCS2.
Yeah, really good stuff from them. They, have been putting in some pretty good work in some of the previous seasons that we've seen from them, but haven't really been able to be one of the teams that we've talked about a lot towards the top end of things. They've always sort of been in the mix a little bit more towards the top end of the middle of the pack, but now they're within striking distance of first place. That is only day 1, though, Xenox, and obviously we're going to have to see a lot more consistency. 5 more days to go. And really, as you were sort of alluding to when we went into that final game, today was the day of big games. There's another one from Divine, a 15-kill win. You look back at Bay in round 3, 17-kill win. Day Trade, 20-kill win in round number 2. So there's a lot of just massive wins being put on the board, but the consistency hasn't necessarily been there from all of these teams, to be honest. I mean, Bay, they got it going towards the end. They did really well in games 3 and 4, but they let themselves down in round number 1 and 2. Day Trade did well in games 2 and 3, but didn't do too well in games 1 and 4. So it's just a case of kind of seeing who can sort of get what done over the long term.
Yeah, exactly right. And this is the thing, though. Now we've got 20 games remaining. So that's typically... that was how many games we had overall for PCS1. So it kind of feels like this is your head start. Everyone had 4 extra games. Yep. Now it's like it all sort of begins. And obviously for teams like MSC Theraton, who are 40 points behind Day Trade, it's kind of like now having this handicap, right? And it's not one that you really wanted to have. It's massively good news for the likes of Day Trade, of course, Battle Arena Elites as well, and now Divine for that matter as well. They've completely shifted right up to the leaderboards into 3rd place. Fury hold 4th, and Buried Ram hold 5th place. I look at this leaderboard though, and I'm really not surprised by any of the teams up the top. But what I am going to be looking forward to the most tomorrow night is seeing, do we have a solidified top 5 or top 6, or to say 2 or 3 start to sort of build a lead and gather momentum similar to what we saw from the likes of Q Confirm in PCS1.
Yeah, and can some of the teams down toward the bottom of the standings turn things around as well? I mean, MSC is someone that we've highlighted quite a lot today that we thought would probably come out of the gate stronger. Same for Cerberus, same for Archangel Predator, and interestingly enough, they're sitting in 12, 13, and 14th place. All 3 of them together, not too much separating them. Astra, another one, teams that, we sort of were wondering how they were going to go after having, an okay but not amazing performance in PCS1. They looked like they were going to start PCS2 really well, but they've sort of let the ball slip a little bit on Erangel. They did well on Miramar, I'll give them that, but consistency not quite there for Astra today. So, yeah, there's a lot of storylines, not only at the top end of things, and because we've still got 20 games to go, I think it's kind of still anyone's game. I'm starting to think the likes of FTF and Magic maybe aren't going to be the teams that are going to be seeing contests for first place in 20 games time. But look, if they can turn things around on day 2, who's to say that they can't do that?
There's the match leaderboard from our 4th and final game of the night. Divine Esports, 5 total point victory. Battle Arena Elites, though, pretty content with that. 13 points. Being able to back up your own massive game with another very good game straight after that surely makes you sleep a lot better going into tomorrow night. Game Home Esports, 2 teams that really kind of had just okay sort of days, at least finish on a strong note. Day Trade Gaming, while they couldn't quite replicate their 20-kill win that we saw earlier on, they've still been thereabouts. They've still, of course, been able to hold that top spot outside of that one massive game. But it's only an 8 over 2nd. It's only a 12-point lead over 3rd. And I know that we've only played 4 games, Jordan, but Day Trade have shown that they are not really the invincible giants that say Q Confirm were in PCS1.
It's a pretty unbelievable turnaround, to be honest, from Bay. They started off the first 2 rounds only getting 1 point. And then in the final 2 rounds, they picked up 40 points. So they've certainly turned their night around, and it's quite largely thanks to the likes of Loki's and Flood. Both of those guys having a good performance there in the final match of today. Jukesy also continues to put in the good work for Fury. And to be honest, I mean, across the board, I think crazy stuff today. Here's the total leaderboard, and this is what you were alluding to a little bit more so earlier on just now. Xenox, they trade up the top, but they're only 8 points ahead of Bay. And you think about how quickly things can turn around. Again, 2 games ago, Bay was on 1 point. Now they're on 41 points. So Day trade, that 8-point lead, it really doesn't feel like a whole lot.
Exactly right. I mean, you really kind of just put that perfectly, Jordan, and it kind of probably gives then for the teams on the right-hand side of the leaderboards, right, knowing, okay, well, Bay just went from 2 points to 41 points in 2 games. What can we do tomorrow night to turn things around? You know, Astra started very, very well the first 2 games of the night, and then 0, in fact, on Erangel. You know, the likes of MSC Theraton struggling again. 2 PCS APACs in a row, they're struggling. Cerberus Esports, one of the hot favorites, in 13th position on just 11 points. So, you know, there are some really top teams on the right-hand side of the leaderboard that have got to find some improvement tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, you sort of highlighted the 2 really important ones. Take 5th place in PCS1. MSC takes 6th place in PCS1. So those are the 2 teams that I'm really looking to turn things around. A team that has already turned things around, of course, is Day Trade. They've done really well for themselves. They were 8th place last season, so they've already started off really, really well and kind of almost following in Q Confirm's footsteps, although not to the same degree. Obviously, a lot of storylines still to think about as we do head into day 2, which is obviously tomorrow. And as far as a lot of the teams are concerned, no one's necessarily feeling like they're out of it just yet. There's still plenty of games to play. So it's a good sort of a start to the season. You know, to be honest, I'm quite happy with how things have gone so far. We've got a good spread. We've got a lot of teams that are up in the, you know, I'd say probably in the top 8, top 9 that are still feeling like they're within a pretty good race to make it into a first place. But that is going to really increase as we head into tomorrow and we finish off round 8. And that's how things are going to sort of start to fade away maybe for some of the teams down towards the bottom of the standings.
Yeah, as we usually do here for PCS, we have a few interviews, mostly with the OCE teams, of course, as we are Australian, and that's really all we can actually speak to because we don't speak Thai, we don't speak Vietnamese, but we are going to have our first interview of the night with Extreme from Astra, who, of course, started the night off extraordinarily well in Miramar. Unfortunately, though, Russell, Extreme, Erangel was just really not your day.
Yeah, look, Erangel was us feeling out tendencies, feeling out what we think is going to work, feeling out what we want to play the tournament like from now on. We didn't know it at the time, you know. Obviously, we go into Erangel thinking, yeah, boy, let's get it. But no, yeah, we've learnt some things from Erangel, and yeah, we'll take them into tomorrow.
All right. Well, I had a question about your drop locations. Again, you know, that was a big discussion point last season. So it seems like you've gone back to Lipovka again here for Erangel.
Lipovka was an alt drop. We usually Ros.
Right. Well, so you're planning to go back to Ros then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We did lose Picardo though. That sucks.
That was probably the shortest question / answer I've ever had.
I don't know how to answer it, man. I'm sorry.
But no, before I let you go, Russell, like obviously you guys would have been pretty happy, I guess, with the start that you had on Miramar. Is that something you're looking to sort of replicate again tomorrow night? Starting well, but of course then trying to finish a bit better.
Yeah, of course. We felt really good after game 1. We felt like we played it well. We felt like we played it how we should have played it. And I think that game 1 we played, even though we didn't get like a huge amount of points, it was only 12. We feel like that's a huge improvement from how we were playing last PCS. And we feel like we've definitely upped our fundamentals. And so I feel like once we get into the late game a lot more often, once we figure out how to crack through circle 2/3 if we need to, we'll be putting ourselves in really good spots to get really high kills and the wins.
All right, thank you very much, Extreme from Astra. Best of luck for tomorrow, mate, and hopefully you guys can just turn things around.
Yeah, thanks guys, I appreciate it.
I kind of brought it up a little bit twice. It was sort of then tonight was starting well, really, really poor on Erangel, which they're not the sort of team that we usually think of as the team that, say, does well on Miramar. They're not so well on Erangel, or vice versa. Typically, them, along with the likes of Fury, at least from the OC region, have usually got both maps in their back pocket. Unfortunately for them tonight, though, 2 zeros in a row. I mean, PCS1 wasn't great for Astra as a team. They weren't horrible. I don't think they ever had nights where they got, back-to-back zeros, though.
Oh, I mean, they definitely had a few nights that were pretty rough on them. So, look, I think it's kind of in line more so with what Astra's been sort of performing like in PCS so far. I think that they can definitely perform better than what they did, as Extreme said, sort of feeling things out on Erangel. I will say, I think you're probably right, at least as far as Astra is concerned. They're a bit more of a 50-50 team when it comes to the split between Erangel and Miramar. But I do see Fury as a heavier of a Miramar team than anything else, to be honest with you. So, look, the thing is, right, all good stuff from all of these teams, right? It's just a case of consistency. It's not like teams like Astral or any of the other teams. The teams that had big games today can't do that more often than once, but it's going to be a case of being able to do that on a consistent basis. Yes, 2 games to start off the day is pretty good for Astra, but we'll see what they can do tomorrow, because that stuff on Erangel, it's not going to sort of cut it, unfortunately, for them if they want to have a high placing. If they're going to have games like that, across the course of this competition, then, unfortunately, they're not going to be making it much further than what they did last time. So they'll hopefully turn things around. I'm looking forward to seeing how they do, but yeah, definitely need to step it up on Erangel at least.
We've got one more interview for the night before we wrap the stream up. It's going to be Nefahor from Elites, the representation from, of course, Malaysia/Singapore, but is very much Jesus himself reincarnated. Nef, firstly, congratulations on the turnaround on Erangel after what was a bit of a bad start on Miramar. Sort of what was behind the difference between the two maps for you guys?
I think on Erangel, on Miramar, we've been playing position really well. We've been getting into good spots, but every time that we decided to take a fight, we just got steamrolled. And on Erangel, maybe we're just more confident on that map. I'm not sure, but my team of gamers, we just won the fights.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the roster changes that you had. Obviously last season, you guys weren't able to come through in the Oceanic qualifier, and you have had those roster changes coming through from, what was your former roster, Bay. You've added Flood and that kind of thing. So what was sort of the thought process behind those changes for you guys, and how impacted you guys coming into Season 3 or Season 2?
Obviously, we wanted the 2-2 ability to be able to play in each or either region, whichever,
right,
in an easier qualifier. But it's been really good to have Sophie and Flood, because I think just the number of players on our team now is just a lot higher. We did struggle in the beginning, but we have come together, learned to play on the same page, and I've been showing on Erangel. So yeah.
Last one before I let you. You guys obviously now hold second position behind Day Trade Gaming. Looking at the past as a team, there were some struggles in your very short time in OCE, but then you go over to Malaysia, Singapore, you completely dominate. Did that domination sort of prepare you guys for this more than, say, OCE would have? Or do you think that you would have had more, I guess, preparation had you actually qualified from OCE?
I think we would have had more preparation if we played through OCE. I think, as sad as it is, everyone knows that, Malaysia, Singapore would have been a cakewalk for us. If we didn't dominate it, then that would be embarrassing. So, yeah.
Well, it seems like, I guess, though, it didn't really make a difference so far. Of course, though, there's still like another 20 games still to be played. You guys obviously didn't have a great first 2 games, obviously, so you did kind of turn things around slightly. Without sort of giving anything away, really, what were the factors in that sort of turnaround? Was it simply just a map change, a bit of luck?
I'd say a bit of luck. Again, like on Miramar, every time we took a fight, we just got steamrolled. And Erangel, just luck. Seriously,
just luck, just like that. Yeah, all right, I can go with that. Definitely, they're not revealing any strats, so that one works. Just get lucky, just win games. It's just that simple. The other thing that's simple is to make your bed. So as soon as we close up, which is now, go make your bed.
That is mate.
All
Okay.
right, bye,
Yeah.
Nev.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me. See you guys.
Look, whenever you have Nev or Haw on a stream, Jordan, things can go a bit away, right? Like anything can happen. I was a bit nervous there. Fortunately, just one poorly made bed was the only issue with Nev.
Look, to be honest, if that's the worst thing that happens on the broadcast tonight, then I'm not going to be too disappointed. I think he handled himself very well in that interview.
Hey, just get lucky, eh?
Well, yeah, apparently. Funny, it was so easy. To be honest, I think a few teams can take a leaf out of that book, but I'm not sure that it is quite so easy as to just say, hey, get lucky, and sort of put that to bed.
Final, I guess, closing thoughts for the night as we wrap things up for PCS2 APAC, Jordan. What a night, though. I mean, we had everything really from slow starts to chaotic finishes to buggies and trucks blowing people up. It was just really what you expect from APAC. It's really the best region to watch.
Yeah, it certainly was. It was a bit of a slow start to the day, but once we got rolling, we got some pretty big games. 20-kill win, though, from Day Trade. I mean, I got to say that was the standout for me. It's not too often that you see double digits kills and then the win on top of that as well. So I really think for Day Trade, I guess 20 kills on top of that is a very, very nice game. Something that I will remember for quite a while.
I will as well. Thank you to everyone who watched, tuned in, to everyone in chat. You're the best fans. It's the best region. Although, in a couple of hours' time, Europe will be up on the stream. So you can stay there, find a few more codes. We'll be back tomorrow night, though. Esports.